The 2019 journey begins at the crossroads of America, Lucas Oil Stadium, Indianapolis, for a pair of teams looking to get fired up and play better in 2019. Indiana from the Big Ten, Ball State from the Mid-American Conference. And we got a showdown here in Lucas Oil Stadium as we welcome you to college football on CBS Sports Network, brought to you by the Home Depot. Couple of squads confident in what they've got coming into the new year and ready to get an in-state showdown underway. Hey folks, how are you? Jason Horowitz, happy to be alongside former Florida State quarterback Danny Kanell. Happy to have you with us on your first full Saturday of college football in 2019. Danny, a pair of teams hoping to go to bowl games this year, but they're very similar to each other. They really are. You mentioned it. Hey, we've had an appetizer, right? Week 0, a couple games Thursday, Friday night, but this is the full course today, and it starts at noon right here. I think we have a pretty good one, too. Big Ten versus a MAC team. You got a little chip on your shoulder from the MAC squad, so it should be a fun one. And good storylines for both teams. Indiana's offseason highlighted by a quarterback competition. Peyton Ramsey was the incumbent, but he's unseated by the redshirt freshman Michael Penix Jr., who's making his first career start. He won the job, and he's our Do Project Smarter, brought to you by the Home Depot. Tom Allen said this was the toughest decision of his career, choosing Penix over the incumbent, but the reason why? Big play capability. Start with his run. You can make a play out of the pocket. Penix brings that dimension to his game. Nothing's there. He can tuck it and run it, but also the arm strength down the field and the smarts. Watch him here. Safety in the middle of the field. He's going to use his eyes, hold him over to the right, knowing he's going to throw to the left side to one of his big targets down the field. He's got a slew of them. Meanwhile, for Ball State, Riley Neal was the grad transfer who left for Vanderbilt. So Drew Plitt, who made starts the last couple of years because of injury, now's the guy and has a different level of confidence. You know, we talked to him last night. You could see a sparkle in his eye, right? He wants that opportunity to be the man. Now he finally has it. It's been a long road to get there, but I want to see if he's developed his quarterback decision-making on the field. If he eliminates those, I think he can have a successful day. So he'll be facing Tom Allen and the head coach of the Hoosiers, who's no longer calling the defense. He is a defensive mastermind, but he's turning that over to a young man, Kane Wommack, 32 years old. New coordinators on both sides for Indiana. For Mike New in his 4th year, it's really a make-or-break season for the 1993 MAC Offensive Player of the Year. Ball State quarterback. They have been decimated by injuries the last couple of years. But Danny, Ball State's got confidence because they're finally healthy heading into a season. You don't see a lot of teams come in and coaches talk about experience. It's usually, man, I don't know what I've got a lot of young players. But Ball State and Indiana returning a lot of experience, which sets up coaches' pretty nice spot. Nathan Snyder just earned a scholarship. Redshirt junior from Greenwood, Indiana, kicking it away to an explosive kick returner, Malik Dunner, and we're underway in 2019. And right out of the bat, Snyder kicks it out of bounds, so it's one way to keep it away from Dunner, but it's going to give Ball State good field position to open 2019.
Kickoff out of bounds, kicking team number 99. The ball will be placed at the 35-yard line. First down, Ball State.
So some breathing room as we get to our Chick-fil-A starting lineups. Welcome back, the Cow. Welcome in Drew Plitt, redshirt junior from Loveland, Ohio. Good accuracy, Danny, and a guy they think is going to be really good the next couple of years. Yeah, he's got sort of that intangibles that coaches look for, something you can't really coach up, just an innate ability to lead men. The one thing that jumps out to me from his playing from last year is the 8 interceptions. Has to protect the football today. Good running back, and Caleb Huntley gets the handoff, tracked down by Indiana's defensive line. Rest of the offensive unit for Ball State, the Chick-fil-A starting lineups. Drew Plitt's got good running backs. Caleb Huntley, certainly one of them. But Riley Miller, if he's ever in a jam, has become his go-to guy. Yeah, he's got a veteran offensive line. I wish we could circle every one of them, but Riley Miller is the guy. The nickname they call him, the DB killer. You got to love that. But sure hands from Riley Miller, a guy you can throw to with a lot of confidence. Plitt, opening pass of 2019 to check down to Huntley, breaks a tackle, finally escorted out of bounds. Micah McFadden, but he gets him close to the marker. This is one of those opportunities that we talked to the coaching staff at Ball State, and they said this is where Drew Plitt can excel and take that next step. See him surveying down the field. Nothing there, takes the check down. The check down is your friend as a quarterback. Look at all those yards picked up by your running back, getting yourself in a third and manageable situation. And that's one of the spots, too. They were very excited about Caleb Huntley, the junior out of Atlanta, has become a better catcher out of the backfield and better in pass protection as well. This is 3rd and 3. Plitt, plenty of time. Takes off up the middle. And he's met by McFadden. Doesn't get back to the 40. Indiana, a 3 and out on the opening drive for this defense.
And Drew Plitt has an outstanding offensive line all day to throw. But look at everybody locked up in man coverage across the board. Nowhere to throw the football. I like the attempt, though, there. First drive, don't force anything. Again, that's a good decision. You give your team a chance to punt it away, give your defense a chance to make a stop. You don't want to make that critical mistake.
So Snyder set to kick it away for Ball State. A booming kick. Whop Fillier fields it inside the 10. Good job of flipping the field for Snyder. Which brings us to the first opportunity. Back to the Chick-fil-A starting lineup to get a look at Michael Penix Jr., the redshirt freshman out of Tampa, Florida. Played in 3 games last season, tore his ACL late in October in a game against Penn State. It was looking like he might take over as the starting quarterback later in last season. He had to rehab, but now he gets his chance after winning the battle out of camp.
I saw Michael Penix week 1 last year against FIU on the road and was really impressed with the way he plays the position. Obviously, a long, drawn-up battle to see who the starter was. He's getting the opportunity. Let's see what he can make the most of it.
Checks it down. Fillier on the opening play. He's an explosive receiver who takes it out to the 18-yard line. As we take a look at the rest of Indiana's starting lineup, Penix has got, again, a good offensive line that they believe in. But their running back, Stevie Scott, is a sophomore last year, set all kinds of freshman records over 1,000 yards. Scott's first handoff, first carry of 2019. Dragged down from behind. Jordan Williams, a redshirt sophomore linebacker, making his first career start.
I think you're going to see a healthy dose of Stevie Scott for Indiana on Indiana's side of the ball. I think you're going to try to take the pressure off Mike Penix as much as you can. Going up tempo, it's what Indiana wants to do. Just kind of speed up the pace of the game. But Jason, I would expect them to sort of give, you saw the easy throw to start the game, hand it off. Again, another manageable here situation, first third down of the game. One that you should be a simple read.
Extra tight end on the field for the Hoosiers, Peyton Hendershot and Matt Bjorson. Ball State comes with the blitz. Penix into the pocket. There's one of the tight ends, Hendershot, out over the 30 and up to the 35-yard line. That's a pickup of 17 yards and a first down.
Yeah, you give solid Ball State, try to bring some pressure there, and you're going to have another veteran offensive line here for Indiana all day to throw. And unlike Ball State, Indiana does get the tight end open on a crossing route. Simple, easy completion for Penix to get that first down of the game.
Indiana's thinking maybe a big year for the redshirt sophomore tight end, because Kalen DeBoer, the new offensive coordinator, uses the tight end a lot in his offense. Penix swings it out to Scott, has some blocks, out over the 40, wrestled down by Antonio Phillips, most veteran corner on this Ball State defense. And they go in a 3-4 lineup. The linebacking core is the strength, and the best of that group is Christian Albright, an All-MAC performer from last year.
Coaches raved about him. We asked Mike New about the defense. He said, hey, Christian Albright is our best player on the defensive side of the ball. Gonna have to make a lot of plays running sideline to sideline this afternoon.
Penix, again, Ty Freifogel with these short completions, but they're out across the 50 and into Ball State territory.
These are confidence-building plays that are designed to help Michael Penix get his confidence, get his feet under him in this first start. You know he's got to be amped up, excited to play, and they're giving him some easy completions on the outside, starting the game 3 for 3. That's just a confidence builder, and they're going to set up a shot play down the field. You just know it's coming sooner or later.
And they've got a pair of 6'4" wide receivers on the outside. Fillier in motion. Penix the lefty, throws it that direction, out in space. The speedy wide receiver inside the 35 and tracked down. He picks up 16 yards to the Ball State 33.
I love this game plan for Indiana. Kalen DeBoer is the new offensive coordinator. This is 4 throws we've seen behind the line of scrimmage, but these are confidence builders. Again, as a quarterback, you start making those. You see guys catching it. You develop more and more confidence in yourself, the offensive line, and the offense starts to feed off of that.
Cole Guest, the running back, next to Penix. Gets the handoff. Hole created for a couple of yards. Jacob White. Check that, Brandon Martin, redshirt junior Guest tore his ACL last year in the opener against FIU, had 17 yards on 4 carries, but he was over 400 yards a couple of years ago. They've got a stable of backs, and we're going to see all 4 of them here today against Ball State. Second and 7 after the 3-yard pickup. Indiana moving right down the field. Penix through the hands of Donovan Hale, the 5th-year senior out of Largo, Florida. That was the first throw that didn't go less than 2 yards.
No, and that's one that Donovan Hale's got to make for him. A little bit on the high side, but playing with your redshirt freshman quarterback, you want to keep that one and make sure you make that catch for him. You can see that is a look at Kalen DeBoer, the new offensive coordinator. Would have loved to have that one. A 3rd and long situation. I would guess that Ball State will bring pressure, not only confuse the quarterback, but to knock them out of field goal range potentially.
3rd and 7, 9th play of the opening drive for the Hoosiers. Penix to the air, 1-for-1. Westbrook bottled up by Red Potts. So here's the question now for Tom Allen, because it would be a 50-yard field goal for Logan Justus, who was a good kicker, but his longest attempt is 47 yards, and they're going to go for the field goal here on the opening drive. It's
sort of no man's land. This is a tough call for any offensive coordinator. They've been driving the ball so well. If it was 4th and 2 or 3, I'd like to go for it. But here, why not give your kicker a chance to make a long one?
Luke Rosso Award semifinalist last year as one of the 20 best kickers in college football. This would be a career long. Plenty of leg. And right through the uprights.
Right through. I don't know. That snuck through on the right. Matters.
The glasses need to be adjusted early in the season, but Tom Allen knows 3 points are 3 points. Indiana, Michael Penix Jr. on a 48-yarder. Career long for Logan Justus.
College football on CBS Sports Network is sponsored by The Home Depot. More saving, more doing. By the Ram 1500, Motor Trend's 2019 Truck of the Year. And by DiGiorno. It's not delivery, it's DiGiorno.
Now the Indianapolis Motor Speedway just about 15 minutes from here by drive. And of course, that's what you do there with the Indianapolis 500, that $1 million trophy. Opening drive for Indiana, 3 points. Keys to the game, Danny Cannell.
Indiana's been looking for more explosiveness on offense. That's why they went with Penix. And then on defense, they've got to get after Drew Plitt, make him uncomfortable. And then for Ball State, as much as they want Drew Plitt to succeed, they need to run the football and defensively make every single open field tackle at first contact.
Snyder kicked the opening kickoff out of bounds. This time it's a couple yards deep. Dunner lets it bounce, and they'll bring it out to the 25-yard line. So Indiana's defense forced a 3 and out to start this ball game, and their defense, Danny, is one that struggled last year. They had some injuries. They had to play a lot of guys, but they think that they have some stars, including up front, because they need a new star up front. Jerome Johnson, the redshirt junior, might be that guy.
He is a disruptor, which you don't see a lot from the interior of that defensive line. Sometimes you get caught up a lot of double teams, but he's able to shake them and actually get pressure up the middle, which can be so frustrating for a quarterback when you're looking to step up and you got a big 300-pounder coming right in your face.
Well, they had 36 sacks 2 years ago. That number was down to 22 last year. Plitt hands it off to Huntley, scatters his way for a couple of yards. Indiana's certainly more explosive this year on defense. Marcelino Ball, you know, our buddy Bruce Feldman from The Athletic puts out his list of freakish athletes. Marcelino Ball certainly fits that category with his testing numbers, and he's the playmaker. He's been a guy who was a 2-star recruit who came in and started from day one for this defense 3 years ago. Plitt back to the ground. Huntley puts the shoulder down, but McFadden cleans it up, setting up 3rd down. McFadden already 3 tackles for Indiana.
Well, you wonder about the size of a Big Ten team impacting, you know, this game. And Marcelino Ball is one of those guys. You can see the strength and size. Also the interior of that defensive line. That last play getting a little bit of pressure, but Lino Ball, what a stud.
Adding to his name at the back of this jersey this year, changing his number 2 from 42 to 9. That happened a lot for Indiana and Ball State players heading into the year. Plitt. Hall, the completion, and a 1st down for the Cardinals Fights his way out to the 44-yard line. That's 16 yards before Devon Matthews brought him down.
And this is the second third down of the game, but both times Drew Plitt has had plenty of time to throw. Again, a ton of experience in the offensive line and a crossing route coming under the middle. That's what we're going to run when you expect man coverage. And that time, Drew Plitt able to find his receiver, Justin Hall, coming across wide open there. Again, you don't have to throw it past the first down marker to get it. Sometimes take that underneath throw and let them do the work.
Plitt looking for the deep shot. Miller's the intended receiver, and that's going to be pass interference on ball. It was underthrown, and Miller trying to come back to the ball, and Marcelino Ball was all over him.
Pass interference, defense number 9, 15-yard penalty from the previous spot, automatic first down.
You can see Riley Miller come. This is an interesting play action pass. They're trying to run Miller there on a little in and out pattern. He's going to kind of bend in towards the middle of the field and then work out towards that corner route. And clearly you see the offhand of the defender trying to get inside there too early. And maybe the ball was underthrown, actually helped them get that call. Ball State.
Miller's not a guy that's going to get a lot of separation, but makes a lot of plays. Handoff to Walter Fletcher. The grad transfer from Edinburgh College, a Division II school in Pennsylvania. He had 3,300 yards rushing the last 2 years, but they think that he's ready for the FBS level. In fact, Joey Lynch, the offensive coordinator, said Walter Fletcher could have played at a Power 5 school, and we're lucky to have him here for his 5th year.
Yeah, those Power 5 rosters are crowded sometimes, and if you get the benefit of that at a place like Ball State, getting some really good caliber players.
Second handoff, this time it's reversed to Justin Hall. Indiana's there, McFadden can't make the tackle. It's cleaned up by Cam Jones, sophomore linebacker. Goes for about 3 on the long developing play.
And these are the types of plays, little misdirection reverse here. Drew Plitt actually picked up a nice little block that Ball State is going to have to run. Look, there is going to be a size discrepancy when you're a MAC team playing against a Big Ten team. So you're going to have to do some of those misdirection plays. Keep those Indiana defenders' heads on a swivel.
That's Antoine Davis in motion. Coming back from a broken foot last year. On 3rd and 5. Plitt back to the air. Receivers open, and it's Miller, his go-to guy in crunch time, down to the 20-yard line.
That's a great call. Outstanding again. Notice the protection, and this is a pretty easy read for the quarterback. You're just going to see it out and a clear out on the outside, and it's actually covered really well, but Plitt with all day to throw, throws it with timing, and it's pretty well covered. That's just a good throw and catch.
Down a field goal inside of 6.5 minutes here in the opening quarter.
Plitt directing traffic, possibly going to an audible here. This scenario is a veteran on the team. They trust him in these situations.
Gives it to Huntley, following his fullback, Cody Rudy. Huntley picks up 3 yards. Big 5'10", 226-pound junior.
That might have looked like a little thing there. Hey, the quarterback maybe was... But if you can trust the quarterback, give him a couple options as a run play, and yet you trust him to know which way to run it, which is the best run according to that defense. And that's something the coaches love about Drew Plitt. Very accurate passer. We've seen that already some today. And he's got a moxie about him. Got to go with the moxie early in the 2019 season, Jason.
This is an important drive, too, following Indiana's 10-play drive. Back to Huntley. Stutter steps down to the 12. It'll bring up 3rd and short. They've picked up a couple on this drive. Caleb Huntley over 1,000 yards 2 years ago. Missed the final 8 games last year with a foot injury. Held under 200 yards.
Notice the difference. First drive, this one, obviously they get a couple 3rd down conversions, but the commitment to the run and keeping Indiana's defense on their heels a little bit. Have them guessing.
Ninth play of the drive. Started back at their own 25. Back to the ground. Huntley finds some space. Has a first down. 1st and goal coming up for Ball State.
I absolutely love that call from Joey Lynch, offensive coordinator from Ball State. Committed to the run. That's what they said they wanted to do. In a passing situation in the red zone, they put it on their veteran offensive line and give the opportunity for the running back to get it there. That is a confidence booster for this Ball State offense.
And something else you don't see very often in college football anymore. Quarterbacks under center.
Yeah, and they'll mix it up.
Time.
They'll mix it up.
So first and goal. Back to Huntley, sticking on the ground and met in the hole. Marcelino ball right around the ankles. Indiana's defense last year, 83rd in the country, giving up yards on the ground. This was a defense in the first couple of years under Tom Allen. Very successful, climbed up the ranks. Last year took a step back with all the injuries and young players. Deep into the first quarter on a second and goal for Ball State. Back to the ground. This time it's Fletcher fighting his way around the 5, and so it'll set up another third down for the Cardinals on this drive. And it's a Ball State team last year that was 4-8 on the season. Averaged just 24 points a game with Riley Neal under center for most of the year. It's Drew Plitt's team, though.
For a matchup, maybe up top. Keep an eye on a 6'3" wide receiver. You get the matchup you like, flip it out there.
He's looking that way, corner of the end zone, or over the head of Justin Hall. That wasn't the 6'3" receiver, that was the 5'9" receiver. Now this will bring up fourth down.
Again, pretty good protection there for Plitt, trying to find the back of the end zone. We talked about decision making, right? It looks like it's covered. I like that. If you're going to take that shot, the one place you want to miss is long and out of bounds. You don't want to turn the ball over there. So a pretty solid drive there. A good answer from Ball State if they can convert on this short field goal.
And a chippy for Ryan Rimmler, the senior, attempting his first career field goal, taking over from Morgan Hagee. 22 yards out is good. And so with 3.5 to play in the opening quarter, Indiana and Ball State knotted at 3, and a good one here in the first full week of college football. Jason Horowitz, Danny Cannell, happy to have you back in Indianapolis. 3-3 Indiana and Ball State. And speaking of 3, how about the Big 3 championship? Hottest Hoops League is coming to an end, and tomorrow at 2 Eastern, CBS Sports Network break down the teams competing for this year's title, all leading up to the championship starting at 3 on CBS. It's the Big 3 championship game preview in the 24-hour home of CBS Sports. Got good coaches in that championship game, by the way. Charles Oakley, Lisa Leslie.
Some legends of the game right there.
Steven Jackson, former Pacer.
Big Three's been a ton of fun to watch this year.
No question about that. Well, it's year 3 for Tom Allen as the head coach of the Hoosiers. It's year 4 for Mike New. Really massive seasons for both these two teams when both bring back as many starters as they do from last year.
Yep, you've had some excuses, right? Not that they've looked for them, but they've been very young, inexperienced teams. So both coaches told us before this game, hey, this is kind of that make or break season where we have a lot of optimism, a lot of confidence, and both feel like this is a game you can get off to a strong start with and really start the season with a bang.
Well, think about what it does for you if you're Ball State coming off 6 wins the last 2 years to beat a Big Ten school. And if you're Indiana, it's a game that they expect to win as Guest fields it at the 1 coming out. Couple of blocks, gets out to the 20, and he's wrestled down by a host of Cardinals. So Penix back on the field, the redshirt freshman quarterback who started this game hitting his first 5 passes.
I love the game plan so far for Penix. Kalen DeBoer giving him some confidence boosters. Notice all of these. The ball's out of his hands fairly quickly. This was a really nice third down conversion to his tight end, but most of these short, quick hitting passes don't have to read much out, and yet you're seeing a lot of offense. You're seeing a lot of yards after the catch. It's one thing I do like from Penix so far in some of these shorter throws. They look easy like layups, but he's really given his receivers, running backs, catchable balls they can catch in stride and stay on the move.
And that was the thing they said they were hoping to see. They know he can make the big play. Can he make the check down? Can he make that easy throw? And we saw it in the opening drive. The handoff up the middle, Stevie Scott. And what was the report for you coming into this game on Penix?
Well, again, I saw him a little bit last year and liked what I saw coming off the ACL. He does have better size and mobility than Peyton Ramsey, who he beat out, and that's what they're looking for. They want another dimension to this offense. They're looking for explosive plays, and they feel like with his arm strength and his ability to run, they're going to get that.
Play action, looking for the deep shot, looking for Westbrook. Open field, Nick Westbrook. Touchdown Hoosiers. There was your explosive play, and Indiana, second play of the drive, up a touchdown.
Again, we saw those confidence boosters underneath short passing games so they could set up the long throw down the field. Strong play action pass, a guy in his face no less, and a beautifully thrown ball down the field from Penix to Nick Westbrook. Beautiful execution on all sides.
Westbrook 75-yard touchdown grab. The long, needless to say for the redshirt freshman, the longest throw of his young career. Now, we talked to Mike Penix this week. He said he was fired up to finally get this chance, but also expected it. Just threw his first touchdown of the year. Well, Nick Westbrook is coming off a torn ACL a couple of years ago. Last year, 42 grabs. All in this new offense for Kalen DeBoer, and a 75-yard touchdown pass for Michael Penix.
Jason, I am so fired up by this. Not only the route combination, too. This is a very basic route combination. Also the offensive line. But maybe most importantly, watch the running back pick up the corner blitz for the last piece of protection along the offensive front. That is a 1,000-yard rusher, Stevie Scott from last year, playing his part in the pass protection game. I absolutely love that play design and the blitz pickup from Stevie Scott. Recognition, noticing the defensive back is coming and picking it up.
And that was the challenge, too, to the running back. Can you get better in the passing game in this new offense? Dunner finally has a chance to return one. Breaks a couple of tackles, gets out to the 23-yard line. Well, tonight at 7 Eastern, be sure to join CBS Sports Network in the studio as our team of experts break down all the matchups going on around the nation. It is Inside College Football on the 24-hour home of CBS Sports. That is all leading up to Missouri at Wyoming tonight at 7:30 Eastern right here on CBS Sports Network. So now the opportunity and really the necessity for Drew Plitt to come out and answer. He built an 11-play drive. They converted 3 third downs on the last drive. But you just saw the opposition have a big play, and Ball State hasn't had home run threats. Pick up the pressure again. Open receiver, and Hall fell down. That was a long developing route, and it worked, but Hall tripped up.
And they can really take these types of shots down the field because the offensive line giving Plitt enough time and protection. You can see a back helping out to Chip. He's got a little bit of pressure on him, but the throw was good. Here's the problem coming out of the break. You see the receiver stumbling there as he's coming out, and still almost made the catch was Justin Hall.
That might have been the first time that Plitt was touched in this ball game.
Yeah.
That's Dunner in motion, getting the handoff, trying to stretch it out. Indiana. Hoosiers are faster sideline to sideline. That's Devon Matthews who made the tackle. Sophomore safety out of Jacksonville, Florida. And you hear that a lot on the back end of this defense for the Hoosiers. Redshirt sophomore, true sophomore. A lot of those guys had to play last year. Part of the reason they think they're going to be a lot better on defense this season. Hoosiers bring 5. Plitt settles into the pocket, and Hall dropped it. Just a little bit behind the receiver, and he couldn't haul it in.
All right, whose side do you want me to take, Jason? You want me to crush the quarterback or the receiver? Because I think both of them are at fault here. You got to give them a little bit better ball, but you also have to make that play for your quarterback, especially if you want to make, pull off the big upset. A tiny bit behind Justin Hall there, but you really want to be able to reel that one in, and I'm sure Drew Plitt would love to have that throw back and keep him running on the move. Again, now you're 3 and out. You put your defense back on the field. If you want to pull off the upset and knock off the Big Ten school, you have to make those plays in this game.
As someone who played wide receiver freshman and sophomore year of high school, you got to make that catch. Another good kick from Snyder. Fillier for the fair catch. Makes it at the 21-yard line. 53 yards on the punt. Hoosiers back on the field on offense. Up by 7. back in Indianapolis. Hoosiers leading the Cardinals 10-3 as we take a look at the AP poll powered by Ram Trucks. If there were any questions about Clemson, they came out as the defending champs, beat Georgia Tech 52-14. Trevor Lawrence didn't have the greatest game. And if there's any questions about Justin Fields, he's got 3 touchdown passes for Ohio State in the first 10 minutes of that game against Florida Atlantic.
Strong start for Ryan Day, who takes over for Urban Meyer. No surprise there.
Starting to feel bad for Lane Kiffin. They got blown out by 60 last year at Oklahoma on opening day. Penix back to the air after the touchdown pass. Freifogel scampers out to the 27-yard line, maybe the 28, pickup of 7 yards. Penix already 139 yards passing here in the opening quarter. He threw for 219 last year in the limited action he did see, 3 games, including the opener against FIU that you saw here on CBS Sports Network. Kid out of Tampa, originally slotted to go to Tennessee, and when Butch Jones got fired, he reopened his recruitment and came to Indiana. Freifogel again. He's past the sticks before Phillips makes the tackle. It'll bring up first down for Indiana.
They're taking advantage of these short passes. Ball State is a little bit concerned about the size mismatch on the outside. Indiana, we talked about their big, tall, physical wide receivers. I think Ball State's got to get a little bit more aggressive, but when they do, that's part of the chess game. Then Indiana goes over the top, takes that shot.
Well, and the strength for both these teams because of all the experience, they're both very confident in their offensive lines, and we've seen that so far. And a whistle and a timeout taken by Indiana.
Charge timeout, Indiana. They're first of the half.
Headed towards the end of the first quarter. Hoosiers have scored on both of their drives here in the first. Out of the timeout, Hoosiers 1st and 10 on their own 33-yard line. 36 seconds to go in the opening quarter. Jason Horwitz, Danny Cannell, happy to get your day started here on CBS Sports Network. The first full Saturday college football as we hit the end of August. Penix fakes the throw. Deep shot again. He checks it down. It's picked off. Amechi Uzodinma with the interception, the sophomore out of Orlando. First mistake of this season by the Indiana redshirt freshman.
All right, remember all of the short underneath confidence builders? So they were trying, Indiana's trying to set up a shot down the field. You're gonna see a little fake to the bubble screen, and they're trying to hit this route right here, but the problem is Penix, it's not there. So it's immediately it's not there. So he fakes the out, then right there, just throw it away. And instead, he tries to jam one in there into a really tight window. Just a bad redshirt freshman mistake making his first start. Now Ball State with a huge opportunity.
Well, the other thing, too, in talking to Mike New yesterday for Ball State.
See if they take a shot here, Jason, off the turnover.
That's the thing. How do they bounce back as they go to Huntley? And he picks his way for 7 yards. But that was the problem last couple of years with all the injuries. When they gave up a big play, Mike New said his team would go in opposite directions. They didn't respond. At least early part of 2019, different story. Approaching the end of the quarter, 7 seconds to go. Are they going to get another playoff? And they do. Back to Huntley. Stutter steps his way past the 35. And Ball State's going to have a first down off the interception when the second quarter gets going. Good drive put together by both sides. And that's the first quarter with Indiana leading Ball State 10-3. You're watching college football on CBS Sports Network, presented by the Home Depot. Start of the second quarter in the 10th hole meeting between Indiana and Ball State. Cardinals off the interception have the ball. And one of the stories coming in to this season on the Indiana side was certainly a quarterback battle. On the Ball State side, it was how are they going to replace these two guys? Riley Neal, grad transfer, left for Vanderbilt, may start tonight at home against Georgia. James Gilbert, 7th all-time leading rusher and dominant player a couple of years ago, battled through injuries, but he left for Kansas State. So the question, at least outside, was how are these two guys going to be replaced? But talking to the coaching staff, they felt, look, they loved Riley Neal. He did a lot at Ball State. But they thought Drew Plitt came into this offseason once he knew Riley Neal was leaving and just took over without any question.
And the players, when you talk to some of the players on Ball State, even the defensive side of the ball, we talked to Jacob White. He said, hey, there was no panic around the program. We have confidence in Drew Plitt as our leader.
Back to the air. He's got an open receiver himself. That's Antoine Davis. And Davis takes it inside the 10. Coming off of a broken foot, he missed all but one game last year, and it's 1st and goal.
This is almost the same exact play design that Indiana ran and threw the touchdown pass off, except Drew Plitt hit the crossing route instead of the post. Here comes the crosser. See him coming across the field. Antoine Davis wide open, lost in the zone coverage, and Plitt with a nice delivery.
Extra tight end on the field for Ball State. Back to the ground. Huntley picks his way, carries a defender down inside the 2-yard line. Raekwon Jones hung on around the waist. Bring up 2nd and goal, and they have stuck to the ground game so far here for Ball State.
I love it. You hear a lot of coaches say that, and that's what Mike New told us last night. They want to run the football. They all say that, and then they forget about it. But clearly, Joey Lynch, Mike New, the offensive minds for this Ball State team have remained committed to it, and they can because this offensive line is doing such a nice job.
Already 10 carries for Caleb Huntley. Number 11 gets a block, leans forward, touchdown Cardinals! The interception is costly, and Ball State's within a point.
Man, what an impressive answer for Ball State. After getting punched in the mouth, giving up a bomb, they get the turnover and then convert on the turnover. Running to the left side of that offensive line. You create a hole. Caleb Huntley drags one Indiana defender in the end zone with him. Really impressive answer.
Rimmler adds the extra point. So after giving up the 75-yard touchdown pass, Ball State's defense comes back to get the pick of Michael Penix Jr. And it leads to a tie ball game here in Indianapolis. Back in Indianapolis, that is Trey Utrecht wearing the sling on the Ball State sideline. Back in February, he was involved in a single-car accident coming back to Muncie, Indiana from his home near Dayton when he hit a patch of black ice and his car was impaled by a tree that went right into his rib cage, causing major damage to his left arm, which at the moment still does not have any function. He's had 15 surgeries at this point, but he has been a sense of strength, a source of strength for the Ball State team. Every single player wrote him a get-well card and words of inspiration that he has lined his room in his house that he shares with 3 teammates in Muncie, Indiana. And every time this offseason they talked about whether or not they would bounce back and how they would play, they always talked about Trey Utrecht, who's now part of the equipment team, as Indiana takes it out to the 27-yard line where they would start this drive. And every player, Danny, is wearing a bracelet. Now, not during the game, they're not allowed to, but all off-season bracelet, Trey Strong.
I mean, it is a emotional story when you talk to Mike New, and the first time he didn't know if Trey Utrecht was going to survive. I mean, this was a life-threatening accident that he suffered. He still has some work to go on his arm to regain movement there. He just had a procedure not that long ago, and those cards that he showed, he has his room decorated with them all across the wall in his apartment, and every single day he wakes up, he'll read a different card from a teammate that written to him, and he's one of the most positive guys on the team, so really an inspiration for Ball State and his teammates.
Right in the backfield, stopping Stevie Scott on first down. And his teammates all took it up for him as well, all in the spring game. When he finally made it back to campus after the accident more than 2 months later, he was the honorary team captain of spring game, the linebacking core, because he was a linebacker last year. They were all rotating, wearing his number 57 jersey. They take pictures, they text it to him. Now he's part of this program in a different way, part of the equipment staff. Penix over the middle. Tight end made a great grab. Peyton Hendershot took a shot, but hung on to it at the 44-yard line.
A tight end can be a young quarterback's best friend. And that's what you saw right there from Hendershot. Just going for running 4 verticals right up the field. That's right in the seam. A ball a little bit high, knew he was going to take the big hit and still holds on. And let me tell you, Jason, when that get you under the rib cage right there, underneath the pads, that one stings a little bit right there.
That was Bryce Cosby who made the hit, junior safety. Back to the ground, Scott wrestled down Jacob White, 24-year-old linebacker for Ball State.
You know, this is a very important drive for Mike Penix that I wanted to see how he responds. There's Hendershot getting looked at. I'm telling you, that one hurts a little bit right there. I'm sure he'll be okay, you would think. But for Penix, I'm always curious to watch how a quarterback responds after a bad play. Does it affect him? Do they go in the tank? Do they all of a sudden are they scared to throw the football? And so far, Mike Penix responding to that adversity pretty impressively.
With the exception of the one throw, he's played a very good opening game. Guest in motion. Penix over the middle. Another open receiver. It's Westbrook. He was the recipient of the 75-yard touchdown pass, and he takes it inside the 40.
Also give credit to Kalen DeBoer, the offensive coordinator for Indiana, for not hesitating to go right back to his quarterback, who delivers a strike right over the middle of the football to Westbrook for a nice little pickup for Indiana's offense. Because trust me, that'll be sometimes tendency as an offensive coordinator to say, hey, let's run the football, let's stay away from front of those throws downfield. But a couple impressive throws back to back.
Back to the ground. Have not been able to establish the run game just yet.
That's been the shock to me so far in this game. Indiana, a veteran-laden offensive line across the board. And Ball State, with a smaller defensive front, has been able to put up a pretty good fight so far, you know, controlling this line of scrimmage against a much bigger offensive line.
Yeah, just 10 yards rushing for Indiana on 7 carries. Penix back to the air, behind the receiver and intercepted. Antonio Phillips caught it on his knee, but the second pick thrown by Penix here in the opening half.
Now this to me, Jason, is not a bad decision from Mike Penix. It's just a misfire. Just a simple, there's a hook route that you're going to throw to, and for whatever reason, he and his wide receiver are not on the same page. See, the guy stumbles a little bit at the top. Might have been the reason there, that he just didn't get his highs up in time. So it's tough to tell whose fault that is, but definitely quarterback receiver not on the same page. See Penix saying, hey, I thought you were coming back to me. The receiver's going across. And a costly mistake by Indiana's offense. Second turnover for them, giving Ball State another good opportunity to respond.
Well, and you asked the question this week to Tom Allen as Ball State's back on offense with Huntley. Fighting through tackles, gets 12 yards. You asked the question, if Penix starts to struggle, do they think about going to Peyton Ramsey at all, who was the incumbent starter and really on pace to break all Indiana passing records after the last couple of years?
I'll tell you, they don't want to, right? I mean, that's what they're going to say. That's what Kalen DeBoer is going to say. They don't want to make that switch, but you have to watch the game. How is it unfolding? And I'm sure they're going to stick with Penix for a little bit longer, but man, the longer Ball State hangs around, the offense struggles, you wonder what they're going to do.
Speaking of sticking, Ball State continues to pound the ground game. Caleb Huntley, 12 carries for 43 yards. There's Ramsey on the headset as well. You know, Tom Allen said it was the hardest thing he's had to do the last couple of years, is sit down a guy who was team first, liked by his teammates, put up good numbers, and tell him, hey, listen, you're going to go to the bench and be the backup quarterback. Gave Huntley 4 on the last carry. He gets it again. Still on his feet out to the 41. What balance by the junior from Atlanta to pick up the first down.
So now you've got Indiana trying to bring pressure, what you would expect. Hey, they're getting run all over. They got to bring more bodies in the box, which opens up some holes. And then you see the extension of Caleb Huntley keeping his balance there. Pretty impressive. The risk you run when you bring that pressure, and you want to because you want to stop that run that you've been given, you've been gashed, is you make yourself vulnerable on the back end, put your secondary in a rough spot.
They run the reverse. It's Hall. It's the second time they run, and he hurdles a man. Holy cow. Big time ups and stayed on his feet for a couple extra yards.
You see the response from Ball State's sideline right there? They are fired up watching Justin Hall. A nice little flip reverse there. Watch the end right here. Oh, getting over the top. Ball State is feeling it right now.
It's a lot of flair for 9 yards. Marquise Hurts in for Huntley, gets his first carry of the season, and it's enough to get the first down. You know, this has become the in thing.
It is. You better be careful when you do that, because you make yourself really vulnerable to getting absolutely laid out. But I tell you, nothing fires up that sideline. Look at the reaction. The coaches are jumping around. They're getting amped up. Teammates are fired up. And another first down for Joey Lynch there, the offensive coordinator. Really nice mix of run, pass, and misdirection early in this game.
Back to the air. Plitt over the head of Justin Hall. Good coverage from the 6'1" corner, Raheem Lane.
Offensively, Ball State doesn't have a lot of wide receivers that are just going to separate. So sometimes you have to take a chance and say, hey, one-on-one, you might look covered, Justin Hall, but I'm going to give you a chance to make a play. And I like it. You got to try to give yourself some sort of room to throw to. So you've got to try to back off Indiana's defenders by stretching the field vertically so some of those underneath routes come open.
Caught in the backfield. Michael Ziemba. Well, Indiana hasn't been able to get any pressure on the quarterback or get in the backfield, period, until then.
That is the first time Indiana has made a play on the other side of the line of scrimmage. And you saw the tackle there trying to come out to get a little kick-out block, just doesn't get there in time. And a nice stop. And so this is what you want if you're Indiana. Put Ball State in 3rd and long situations.
3 for 6 on 3rd down for the Cardinals. They need Indiana's 39 for a first down. Miller in motion. Down to 4 on the play clock for Plitt. Over the middle. Tyler is held, and there's pass interference. The 6'3" receiver had no chance because Matthews grabbed him around the waist.
Here's a look at the matchup on the outside. Indiana bringing a corner blitz. Safety's coming over to help. That's a tough proposition to ask a safety to slide over and pick up a wide receiver. And when he realized he was beat, grabbed too much and got busted right there.
Pass interference, defense number 27. The ball we placed at the spot of the foul. Automatic first down.
You know, the other thing that's starting to settle in a little bit here, Indiana's moved the ball up and down the field, but a couple of turnovers, couple of interceptions thrown by Penix. And the talk leading into this game for much of the season is, yes, both these teams are coming off of losing seasons, but returning so much. And Indiana was the favorite. Indiana's talked about as a team that can compete. And Ball State's hanging around and playing with a lot of swagger. Fletcher bounces it outside, stays on his feet to the 31. Fletcher hard 6 yards.
Now the dynamic of that, Jason, is that the longer Ball State hangs in this game, the more confidence they build. And the longer they hang in the game, the more Indiana starts feeling that pressure. They're the Big Ten team. They're not supposed to lose to this team. And you just see that dynamic unfold. So in Ball State, very much in play right here. And I love the game plan so far.
2nd and 4, back to Fletcher. And again, they're not picking up big chunks.
Nope.
But everything is beyond the line of scrimmage.
And that's the demoralizing thing for Indiana. You're getting the ball run down your throat right now by a MAC team. And I don't want to sound disrespectful to a MAC team, but that's the way a Big Ten team would look at them. Hey, you're not supposed to be able to run the football on us. And yet every single one of these guys on this Ball State roster probably wish they were recruited by a Big Ten team. So they're coming in here with a lot to prove and a big chip on their shoulder.
37 players on this Ball State roster from the Indianapolis area. Huntley on 3rd and 2. This time he's not going to get there. Raekwon Jones with a tackle behind the line of scrimmage. And it'll bring up 4th and about 4. And it would be a 48-yard field goal.
They're going for it, and I like this spot as the underdog in this game. You're ahead of where you're supposed to be at 10-10. You don't want to lose into that momentum, but also not a ton of confidence in the kicker's length, and this would be quite a long attempt.
Also a kicker who's making his first start as your field goal kicker. He made from 22 earlier, but this is a different story. On 4th down, Plitt to the air. It's over the head of Hall, and it's incomplete. Pressure was coming right up the middle, and Andre Brown was in coverage, and it's a turnover on downs.
I don't mind the call, even though they got it for Ball State. It was that tweener zone, and definitely because of the pressure for Indiana, really sped up Plitt there. So Tom Allen is fired up. The pressure up the middle. Indiana turns it over on downs.
Well, all season long, college football celebrating the 150 years of the sport we all love. And in Indiana, one of the greats, that man, Anthony Thomas, who in his last 2 seasons for the Hoosiers rushed for nearly 3,500 yards and 50 rushing touchdowns. Hall of Famer 12 years ago, Heisman runner-up in 1989. After a 24-touchdown season, he lost out to Andre Ware. But Anthony Thompson's freshman season in Bloomington, nothing compared to that of Stevie Scott's freshman year last year, where he gained over 1,100 yards as a guy coming out of Syracuse, where Mike Hart, who was the running backs coach at Indiana, got to know him a little bit when he was on that staff there at Syracuse. Penix off the turnover on downs, too high for his wide receiver. And talking to the coaching staff about Mike Hart, who is Michigan's all-time leading rusher with over 5,000 yards in Ann Arbor, he holds the guys accountable, but they all can relate to him because he knows what it takes to be successful in the Big Ten.
There's always a relationship with a coach that just has another dimension when that coach played your position. There's an understanding that some coaches just don't understand.
Penix back to the air on second down. Again, the pocket holds, checked it down. Failure made the grab at the 40. And, Mike Hart's got some ties to this field with the Indianapolis Colts. Certainly his career with the Michigan Wolverines much more dynamic, but he played 3 seasons with Peyton Manning in Indianapolis. On third and short, stuffed in the backfield. That was Ronnie Walker Jr., the smaller running back, and Penix. Check that, he got the first down.
Yeah.
Penix kept it himself.
Right? I was fooled by you, too, but a little zone read. Quarterback reading the option there, decides to keep it and barely gets the first down. That was a much-needed first down as well.
And a much-needed stoppage for one Jason Horwitz.
Again, I like to keep an eye on Penix here as a young quarterback, 2 interceptions. How is he responding? And also, how is Kalen DeBoer calling the game for him? Has not hesitated.
Number 59, 5-yard penalty, first down.
Well, to what you were talking about, Kyle Williams offsides, to what you were talking about, how does a young man respond? And he's thrown 2 picks here in the opening half.
You have to have a short memory. Here's one trying to take a shot play down the field. This is just a really bad decision. You have to throw that ball away. This one here, miscommunication. You see the receiver stumbling, coming out of the break. Penix is like, hey, I thought you were coming back to me. He just has to shake those off. You have to take the next series. Look forward as opposed to behind.
Penix keeps it again. Gets out of 1 tackle. Inside the 40 before he's finally pushed out of bounds. And another first down for the Hoosiers.
And this is the dimension that Penix brings to the table as an offense that they didn't feel like they got with Peyton Ramsey. Just a read option, sticks in that running back's belly, gets the corner, is able to move it down the field. That's one way also build a quarterback's confidence. It's moving the chains again, and there's nothing really he can do that can hurt you as far as throwing the football in that situation.
This time he does hand it off to Walker with plenty of speed to the outside. Walker down to the 25 on a 15-yard pickup.
And that's when you saw Penix there run it twice in a row. The defense has to respect the quarterback run. And as they hesitate, and number 56 right there for Ball State defensively, he's like, who's got it, who's got it? And that is exactly the defender that Penix is reading.
Walker, a sophomore out of Hopewell, Virginia. Highest ranked recruit in last year's class. Only had 32 carries last year. And they got another big-time recruit at running back in this year's class in Samson James, who we've yet to see in this ball game, but another 6'1", 220-pound freshman. Penix dumps it down. Walker, it's too low at his feet. And speaking of the Indiana backfield, we were talking about Mike Hart. He's got a lot of talent to work with in Bloomington.
A lot of depth, for sure. Stevie Scott, we mentioned his 1,000-yard rushing season last year. Cole Guest, somebody who looked impressive last year before he tore his ACL, and now we're getting a look at Ronnie Walker in the backfield as well. So plenty of guys to go to.
On second down, Ball State jump, free play to the end zone, and it's too high. But he's going to get a free 5 yards on the penalty. And again, smart play. He saw the flag,
absolutely.
throw it downfield.
Yep, take your chance. And they're also using cadence a little bit more on this drive. We have seen Ball State defensively not intimidated and they're trying to keep them guessing as far as mixing up the cadence. You get a couple free plays. That's the second offsides we've seen by Ball State's defense on this drive.
Tim O'Day, a referee, and a Matt Crew.
Offside. Defense number 21 in the neutral zone at the snap. 5-yard penalty. First down.
Well, that one's got to be frustrating for a defensive coordinator, David Elson, for Ball State, when you see a defender on the outside trying to get up and get the jam, but you don't even hear a cadence on the outside. All you have to do is watch the receiver and then react.
Well, until this drive, it had been a clean sheet for Ball State. They hadn't been whistled for a penalty the entire game. Penix looking for a hole, finds it, ducks down at the 15-yard line. So a couple of runs for Penix on this drive to get him back into it, and it's a first down for the Hoosiers in the red zone.
This is a designed quarterback draw for Penix. Watch, gonna sell it. Hey, I'm dropping back to pass. Nope. Running back gets forward, picks up a block, finds some room to run to, and that is the adjustment Kalen DeBoer has made on this drive. Get Penix moving with his legs, take off some of his decision-making through the air.
Scott's back in the backfield. Westbrook at the bottom of the screen, the handoff. And Ball State all over it. Shannon Hall at the top of that pile. Chris Crum, the nose tackle for Ball State, and he's small at that. 6 foot, 272 pounds, but he is their best disruptor on the D-line.
And Ball State's response to what they're doing with Penix is to bring pressure, which will open up opportunities on the outside. That's why you're running Penix, to try to get some better situations on the outside.
Inside of 4 minutes to go in the opening half. It's been a good one. It's been a clean one.
Watch for Westbrook at the bottom of your screen.
He releases. It's Fillier instead, and it's off his fingertips. Westbrook cut to the middle. While Fillier came to the outside and was open, but Penix just missed him.
What a beautiful play design. You're going to see a corner, and you're going to see a little slip out the backfield, and they got the matchup they wanted, and would have been a great catch. Just couldn't make it.
And you've talked about the big receivers for Indiana. Donovan Hale's 6'4", Nick Westbrook 6'3", Fillier's 5'11". It's a drive that started after a fourth down stop. Another free play. Back to the end zone. Jump ball for Westbrook. Uzadinma there to break it up, but it's going to be another chance at third down.
I would take those free shots all day with a 6'3" Nick Westbrook on the outside. Give him a chance at a jump ball. Almost comes down with it, but a heads-up play by Penix. Hey, I'm going to get the free shot.
Offside. Defense number 56 in the neutral zone at the snap. 5-yard penalty. Third down.
That's the third offsides of this drive.
Now, these are mental mistakes that Ball State is making, giving Indiana multiple opportunities to convert here. Got to be very frustrating for David Elson, the defensive coordinator. It's just a mental thing. You've got to be mentally smart. Watch the football. You can't listen to a cadence.
Well, now they got some freshmen on that defensive line, too. Justin Ramsey, Kyron Mims, both in the ball game for Ball State here on this 3rd and 7. Walker out of the backfield in motion. Penix scans, fires, deflected, incomplete. Looking for Fillier again. And it'll bring up 4th down and a field goal opportunity for the Hoosiers.
Fillier is going to run a little juke route on the inside. This is one he's got to win. A little bit of a tight window. I like the throw from Penix, throwing him away from the defender. There was some separation there. Got to make that catch to convert.
Couple of drops there for Fillier. So 4th and 7. Logan Justus on after making a career-long 48-yarder earlier this ball game. He was perfect inside of 40 last year. This a 30-yard attempt to give Indiana the lead. And he does just that. So with 3:12 to go in the opening half, Tom Allen's defense gets a stand. His offense has a field goal. Coming up on today's halftime report, powered by Ram Trucks. Brett Stover, Brian Jones, Houston Nutt to get you ready for an exciting day of college football. It's all coming up at the Ram halftime report. You know, Mac showing out pretty well.
Yes, they are.
Right, you got Toledo with the lead. Although Kentucky just scored to answer, so that's tied there in Lexington. Ball State has played well here in Indianapolis. Marquise Hurt back to receive the kick from Nathaniel Snyder. Making his debut this season for the Hoosiers. The kickoff man just got a scholarship. And a fair catch called for by Dunner. Remember, that was the rule that was put in place last year. A call for a fair catch comes out to the 25-yard line. Now, Drew Plitt getting his 7th career start, but the Cardinals, Danny, have stuck to the ground game.
Yeah, this has been probably the most impressive thing in this game so far. Not only the way that Caleb Huntley is running the football, but also the way the offensive line is getting after this Indiana defensive front, creating those holes so he can separate. And you see a little trickeration here, and Justin Hall taking the upstairs route, going over the top of Indiana's defense there, doing his best Edwin Moses impression.
25 rushing attempts for the offense, led by coordinator Joey Lynch, the former Ball State quarterback. Drew Plitt has only thrown the ball 9 times. 4 and 9 for 65 yards. Now there's number 10, and it's a short one. Trying to get Hall in space, and that's what they've done the last couple of years with Justin Hall. He's their playmaker, short throws, get him on reverses. We've seen all of that today.
We'll see. With 2 minutes 55, Ball State can they don't have to go too fast. There's plenty of time, but you definitely want to get some first downs. You want to be too conservative here approaching halftime.
Then Huntley in motion, Plitt back to the air, and that's a miscommunication.
Oh, that's a miscommunication by the wide receiver. He was supposed to adjust there, and Plitt recognized the defensive back coming. And that's when it's a scary spot for a quarterback to be in. Because you're saying, hey, I got a defensive back coming free reign at me. I've got to get rid of this ball. And you would expect Riley Miller to be a guy that would recognize that.
Well, and that was what the coaches told us about Drew Plitt, is that he sees football. He's got the intangibles that they've been looking for. He gets them in and out of plays like they want to be in.
And that's a tricky one for a quarterback to pick up. A blindside defensive blitz, corner blitz. Sometimes you don't see that one. He saw it, the receiver didn't.
They need this 3rd down. 3rd and 9 with 2:41 to go here before halftime. Pressure comes. Plitt steps up in the pocket. Breaks containment, has a 1st down and slides at the 39. They'll mark him down at the 38-yard line, but a big pickup on 3rd down.
Intangibles. This is what the coaches liked about Drew Plitt. This, you saw a breakaway. Somebody came in free, makes the first guy miss, knows exactly where he has to get for the 1st down. That is all Drew Plitt taking over by himself.
Well, now you worry a little bit less about giving the ball back to Indiana with all that time on the clock and timeouts. Plitt back to the air. This time he's on the same page with Miller. But a sure tackle by Jalen Williams, the sophomore corner out of Memphis, Tennessee. Played all 12 games last year as a true freshman. Indiana's very confident about its secondary heading into this season. A lot of young guys back there who got a lot of playing time last year. Plitt, short throw again. Miller again, and he is belted by Raekwon Jones. It's right at the sticks. And it was enough for a 1st down.
Riley Miller trying to get a couple extra yards with a little spin move. And, oh, man, is that timed perfectly from Raekwon Jones. You're going to feel that one tonight. Riley Miller. Again, all 3 timeouts for Ball State. Plenty of time working this methodically down the field, trying to match the score or even take the lead going into halftime, carry some momentum.
Approaching 90 seconds to go in the half. Plitt, again, plenty of time, dumps it down. It's caught, but Fletcher stepped out of bounds. Walter Fletcher had all kinds of space in front of him, but couldn't keep both feet in bounds.
Got to know where you are in the field. That's an outstanding job. Drew Plitt is surveying the field. He knows where to go with the football. Look, he knows last second, I know where my check down is supposed to be. And then Fletcher had all day to run had he not stepped out of bounds. Just wasn't quite aware where that sideline was.
So instead, it's 2nd and 12 with the clock stopped at 1:27 to go here in the 2nd quarter. All 3 timeouts still at the disposal for Mike New. Hoosiers only bring 3. Hall, and he's wrestled out of bounds. Devon Matthews. They'll mark him down at the 47, so it'll bring up 3rd and about 6 here for Ball State.
It's a big play right here for Ball State to extend this drive. You don't want to get back to Indiana with a minute left here. Looks like Indiana's going to try to bring pressure and trust their defensive backs in man-to-man situations. Yep, here it comes.
Plitt throws it away. Didn't get back to the line of scrimmage. Was anybody in the area, though? But James Head Jr. finally got to the quarterback for the Hoosiers, and it'll bring up 4th down.
That's what I would expect Indiana, the adjustment they will make in the second half. More pressure up the front and just trust their defensive backs. Look, the crosser's coming across. Nobody's open. Plitt has nowhere to throw the football, so he throws it away. And now an opportunity for Indiana to really take back some of this momentum. You see Plitt there not taking the sack. I think Joey Lynch is probably telling him, hey, there was nothing you could have done there except do what you did.
So Fletcher back to receive the 3rd punt from Nathan Snyder. Did a good job flipping the field here in the opening half. Can he pin him down deep? Fletcher calls for the fair catch, and he'll make it at the 9. 38 yards on the punt, 111 for Indiana, and 2 timeouts. Up by 3 with the ball approaching halftime. In Indianapolis, Lucas Oil Stadium, along with Danny Cannell, Jason Horwitz. Happy to have you with us on CBS Sports Network. So Indiana gets the defensive stop, Staples, or excuse me, Danny. Radio slip up. How aggressive would you be? You got 2 timeouts. Ball State, though, all 3, and you're back up on your own 10.
So you want to be kind of cautious here. I kind of like them, the plays they were running the last drive, work Penix with his legs a little bit. But because Ball State has the 3 timeouts, you have to make a couple first downs here.
Started with a throw to the outside. Freifogel tiptoes and gets out of bounds. They'll mark him at the 19, so a yard shy of the first down, but he did get out of bounds. You know, all this gets in the communication, too. I mean, Tom Allen's been here now 3 years, and he was the defensive coordinator before that, but new offensive coordinator, new defensive coordinator. This is all their first go-through in all this real action, too.
Yep, and Tom Allen really made a concerted effort to kind of hand over the reins of the team to his coordinators, where he would take more of an authoritative role.
Penix, shot over the middle, too high for his tight end. They've hit that a couple of times this afternoon. Peyton Hendershot was open, but it'll bring up 3rd and 1.
That was a conservative ball. 4 verticals down the field. And Penix makes the right read up the seam to his tight end just over the outstretched arms. Remember the play before when he got hit in the ribs and he was over there getting him checked out? Same exact play. The last one was high. He was able to reel it in. That one didn't even give him a chance to make the throw.
Penix came out like a cannon. Had a couple of picks since then. They go to the ground, and they have enough for the first down. Jacob White holding on for dear life to the feet of Stevie Scott.
Here's where you'll find out how aggressive they'll be in this situation. 55, they do have a lot of time. Let's see how fast they go. Ball State's trying to get somebody off the field.
They didn't get Chris Crum off the field, and they had to take a timeout. Now, whistles blew. There's also a flag on the field. Did they get the timeout before the play was snapped is the question.
Before the ball was snapped, charge timeout, Ball State. They're first of the half. This will be a 30-second timeout.
Now, Chris Crum was trying to get off the field. And remember, Ball State defensively whistled for 3 offsides penalties on the last drive. Well, this is a big possession, too. For,
huge
about
for both teams.
Yeah.
For both teams. Indiana, you want to try to take a little bit of momentum into the half. For Ball State, you're hanging in there. You're only down a field goal. You want to get a stop and get off. Kind of, again, it's a game of momentum. You want to try to carry it into halftime. So big from both perspectives. This is one, again, I've been really impressed with Kalen DeBoer having confidence, and Michael Penix has not wavered, has given him opportunities to throw the football down the field despite the 2 interceptions. And really the one was not on him. The one bad decision, the other one was his receiver was falling down. And you haven't seen Penix routed off. Seen him a little bit more inaccurate, so you wonder if that's coming into play. Is he hesitating a little bit? But from a play calling standpoint, they have not hesitated. I still think, too, with 2 timeouts, you can still work the run game with Penix in this spot.
Kalen DeBoer coming over from Fresno State, where he worked with Jeff Tedford. Taking over for Mike DeBoer after 37 years in coaching. He retired. And out of the timeout, back to the air. Patience by the redshirt freshman, and he's got a first down Freifogel takes it past the 35, a pickup of 13.
Beautiful, beautiful execution. When you're running the 2-minute drill, you know, a lot of times the defense try not to give up the big play. Those checkdowns can get a huge chunk plays.
And now they go faster. 3 seconds off the clock. Penix gets away from the blitzer, gets to the outside. Not sure where to go and takes it to the 46. And now Tom Allen's racing to get the timeout with 26 seconds left on the clock.
Beautiful job by Penix. This is not a design run. This is him recognizing nothing's open down the field, sensing the pressure to his backside, getting what you can, trying to get your team closer and closer to field goal range. And a heads-up timeout call right away. 26 seconds. You probably have about 20 yards to go to get yourself in range there.
Saw Mike Hart coaching up pocket protection, pass protection to Ronnie Walker. He got an injury for Ball State on the field. That's Isaac James down for Ball State with the training staff. Looking at the grad transfer who last year, Danny, Isaac James was on the other sideline. He played at Indiana, was a high school quarterback that was a wide receiver, converted to corner, actually had an interception of Drew Plitt on the final play of this game last year, but wasn't getting enough playing time. Ball State had the degree, grad transfer, he's getting more playing time as they're starting nickel corner and helped off the field. But to your point about how confident they are in a redshirt freshman quarterback and a drive that started inside your 10 with 71 seconds to go before halftime.
Yep.
They put it in his hands.
Yep, trust him, run the 2-minute drill, just like you would if he was a fifth-year senior.
They're one timeout for the Hoosiers on 2nd and 1. Penix over the middle. Big grab, this time not through the hands of Fillier. And the clock will stop while they move the chains. First down.
Clock it here.
They wind it, they spike it, and 17 seconds still on the clock for Indiana and one timeout.
Ball State run a little more conservative. 2 safeties, middle of the field is wide open. So what does Indiana counter with? A little post route over the middle of the field. That's the empty spot. See Fillier there in the slot, right over the middle of the field. Safety comes up to make the tackle.
That's a mismatch on a linebacker too. Ball State brings the pressure. Penix away from the sack, the deep ball, and it's over the head of Donovan Hale. But a phenomenal job by Penix to not take the sack and force Indiana to take its last time out.
Yep, you can't take a sack there. That's a really heads-up play. And I also don't mind the throw down the field. You've got the height advantage on the outside. And if you're going to miss to the outside. Ball almost gets knocked out of his hand, but the presence of mind to chuck it down the field, take that shot.
Jalen Thomas had Penix dead to rights.
Yes, he did.
That would have been a huge play for this Ball State defense. Instead, Indiana maybe a couple of yards shy of field goal range, but with one timeout, you can move it closer for Logan Justus, who already hit. Now another free play. Take another shot, looking for Westbrook. Just over his shoulder. That is the 4th offsides on Ball State here in the quarter.
When you are the underdog, you're the team trying to knock off the team from the Big Ten, you cannot hand them second chances throughout this game like Ball State has.
Offside, defense number 55 in the neutral zone at the snap. 5-yard penalty, 3rd down.
Well, the other thing that does is that moves Indiana into field goal range without having to complete a pass, gain any yards.
Yep.
And so instead of looking at a 53-yarder in 4th down, Logan Justus, who already hit today a career long from 48, now gets to stare down a 49-yarder. So despite 6 seconds left, Tom Allen not electing to try to get any closer, and now Ball State's going to take timeout.
Jason, does it make sense if I tell you, no matter what happens on this field goal, I think if Indiana makes this field goal, that both teams would feel pretty good about the first half? The way it's unfolded, like Ball State may be a little bit more disappointed, but even though if they make this and they're down 6 at halftime, like they've played pretty well. They've been able to establish the run, and Indiana's thinking, hey, we had 2 turnovers and we're still up 6. Like, I think both teams probably feel pretty good at halftime and feel like, hey, we're in this game, and we can both teams feel like, hey, we're where we need to be.
I think Ball State might be disappointed to your point.
You do?
Right. Oh, I think so.
Well,
they're in the game.
Errors.
They're in the game, but 4 offsides in the second quarter, giving Indiana points. And if you're the Hoosiers, you know, scoring drives, but they're settling for field goals. Justus has already hit a career long here in this opener in 2019. This would break the one he set in the first quarter. 49-yarder for the 5th-year senior. Plenty of distance, splits the uprights. Still 1 second on the clock, but the Hoosiers go up by 6.
That was a whole lot of leg right there. That had room to spare right down the middle. See, this one is down the middle, Jason. That's what you describe as splitting the uprights.
You know, nobody remembers that for an hour and 20 minutes ago.
That's right. That's why I let you remind them.
We have people to adjust the glasses here in the booth. It's really kind of a special thing that we've got on CBS Sports Network. I don't know any other networks got that. Well, you were talking about the level of satisfaction with the opening half for Mike New. You know, this is an offensive guy. He's excited about the offense that he's got coming back.
Yeah, and you can see why. Their ability to run the football. Tom Allen's got to feel good, kind of recapturing some of the momentum. And I'm sure his message to his Hoosier team is going to be, hey, 2 turnovers, we're still up 6, we can still control it.
No punts.
Yeah.
They've stopped themselves. Indiana has had 6 drives. No punts.
They've also been handed some first downs from Ball State, jumping off sides as well.
And I would expect Nathaniel Snyder to put this one on the ground with 1 second before halftime. Now, we came into this ball game, both teams, a lot of experience returning, a lot of hope here for 2019. Takes the bounce. Hurts got it off the bounce and taken down at the 24. 16-10 Indiana at the half here in Indianapolis in what has been a pretty entertaining opening half to 2019.
Really entertaining first half. We'll see if Ball State can hang in this one. Mike New needs to talk to his defense. Say, hey, stay on sides.
End of the first half. Hoosiers leading the Cardinals 16-10. You're watching college football right here on CBS Sports Network. Hoosiers with the lead, going to get the ball to start the second half. Up 16-10 on Ball State, just the 10th meeting between these in-state rivals. Jason Horowitz, Danny Cannell, happy to have you back with us. You know, when these two teams met last year, 38-10, Indiana blew out Ball State. Wasn't a game in the second half. Different story here today.
It's been a fun game. It really has. You got a close contested game. You got Ball State, who did some positive things, also has some corrections to make. And then Indiana, with the 2 turnovers, they're probably thinking, hey, we got control of this game. We need to settle down. And that's what I would expect Indiana to do on this first drive. Maybe try to establish the line of scrimmage a little more than they did in the first half.
Let's take a look at the DiGiorno first half stats. And, you know, it felt like Ball State was running the ball for a lot more than they did because they kept running the ball. But it was that 75-yard touchdown pass from Michael Penix to really set that apart.
Yeah, the big play from Penix was really impressive. Did make a couple mistakes there, but I would expect them to increase their rush attempts and rush yardage, whether it's with Penix or the backfield.
Michael Penix Jr. getting his first career start, the redshirt freshman out of Tampa, Florida. You know, right out of the gate, Danny, he was 8 of 10 to get going.
This is one of the explosive plays they were looking when he hit the big post and Nick Westbrook. And then when they're trying to get explosive plays, that's why I felt like he forced this one just a little bit. And then the second interception, just a miscommunication between him and his wide receiver, something that's pretty easy fix there for Mike Penix.
But you can tell, and again, this was a quarterback battle all the way up until Monday. Tom Allen did not name Michael Penix Jr. the starting quarterback till game week in a battle that was 3 guys between Peyton Ramsey and then the transfer from Utah, Jack Tuttle, who did get immediate eligibility as well. But it was Penix's ability to make the play when they needed something when it broke down that really was the ultimate for Tom Allen. And that was the other thing he said this week to us was, look, Peyton Ramsey was a good starter for us the last 2 years. it would have been, as you suggested, safer.
Yep, conservative.
Michael Penix was the possibility of what could happen.
Yep, and also a little bit riskier, which you've seen some of the mistakes. But as long as they can kind of fight their way through those mistakes, and you're going to have those when you have a freshman, redshirt freshman quarterback, if you can make it through some of those, bumps in the road, you do know the upside is there. And then Drew Plitt on the other side for Ball State, his first opportunity to be the man of this Ball State offense. You saw some of the good signs, was pressured quite a bit more towards that end of the first half.
He also told us yesterday that Baker Mayfield's his favorite quarterback.
Yeah.
He's spotting that thing on his forehead the same way. What would you call that? It's not really a bandana.
Oh, yeah, it's a bandana. Remember his butt, because we talked to him and Jacob White together, and Jacob White, one of the defensive linebackers captains on the team, said, "Oh, are you breaking out that bandana again?" He said, "Yep, he's going to do it." Be like Baker.
Third quarter's underway. Hoosiers have the ball up 6. Coming out, that's the freshman, David Ellis. The explosive freshman out to the 36, but a flag thrown in late. First chance for Ellis to really get a touch, and there are 2 flags on the field, one on the Ball State 36 and then one on the Indiana 25-yard line. A couple of things for Tim O'Day to sort out.
There are 2 fouls on the play. Offside, kicking team, number 38. During the return, hold, receiving team, number 27. Those fouls offset, re-kick.
Danny, if you take away offsides, Ball State, a perfectly clean first half in terms of penalties. But they had 4 offsides penalties in the second quarter alone, and then you start the third quarter with an offsides on the kickoff
mental errors. You cannot have those mental mistakes. You expect them. It's the first game of the season. Everybody's kind of got jitters. You want to get rid of those. But this game would probably be tied had Ball State not had so many offsides on the defensive side of the ball, allowing Indiana either better third down situations or flat out giving them first downs.
On the re-kick, too. It's one of those things where, now these were offsetting penalties, but it's one of those things where your team just ran down the field. Are they gassed?
Oh, for sure they're gassed. Coach Bowden, I played for Bobby Bowden at Florida State, used to drive him nuts when the kickoff coverage team would be offsides. And he would always be like, well, what's the advantage if you get a half a yard? Or, it's because you're never offsides that far. It would drive him nuts.
So Coach Bowden wanting to change the rules?
Yeah.
Rimmler set to kick it away again. Ellis going to get another shot at it from the 4. Going the length of the field, and he's got a hole again. And he takes it to the exact same spot where he was, the 36. But you can see why they like David Ellis, freshman wide receiver from Clinton Township, Michigan. A burner who's getting opportunities on special teams. Now, Indiana did not have great starting field position for much of the first half, but they had 6 drives, scored on 4 of them, and then the 2 interceptions from Michael Penix Jr.
I would expect Indiana here to try to come out and establish the line of scrimmage, whether it's through Penix, giving him some zone reads, which they had some success with, or getting Stevie Scott a little bit more involved.
Immediately the handoff to Stevie Scott. Bulldozes his way out to the 44. He picked up 7 on the opening carry of the second drive. Scott, 7 carries, just 9 yards rushing in the opening half for a sophomore who last year gained over 1,100 yards to set the IU freshman rushing record. Go along with 10 touchdowns. Back to Scott. Reverses to Fillier. He's got Penix in front of him and blockers. Fillier brought down at the 34-yard line. Bryce Cosby, maybe a touchdown-saving tackle.
Beautiful play call and execution on behalf of the Hoosiers. They've run the zone read so many times. You see Ball State's defenders chasing after that, and then you get Fillier coming around the outside. Penix gets out front, finds a lot of grass to run to.
Fillier was slowed down by injuries last year as well, only able to play in 7 games. Penix drops it down to Westbrook. Still breaks another tackle. Tiptoes the sideline. And they mark him out at the 22. Nick Westbrook Litnikoff award watch list is one of the nation's best receivers.
Opening the second half with a very similar game plan to what we saw start the game. Shorter, easier completions for Penix. Getting the ball out of his hands, not a lot of decision making, just quick hitting throws and establishing the run.
Third catch of the day for Westbrook. That one puts him over 100 yards. 6th career 100-yard receiving game for the 5th-year senior out of Florida. Again, it's quick. Again, it's Fletcher. Gets a block downfield. Has another first down.
You know, remember, we were talking about second half adjustments. Indiana establishing the line of scrimmage, but this is really an extension of the run game. These short, quick-hitting passes, they're basically long handoffs. And if you have an accurate quarterback who can give the receivers quick, catchable balls, they can stay on the move. It is devastating to a defense.
It's the same script. You mentioned it. It's the exact same script as the opening drive. Back to the ground. Scott tries the middle of the Cardinals defense down to the 7. Ball State player is down at the 10-yard line. That is their nose tackle and best defensive lineman, Chris Crum. Defensive coordinator David Elson. He knew his team was deeper. He also knew his team was smaller up front compared to Indiana. Got to assume he's got to be happy with how they have held up against the run, but not what he wanted to see here to start the third quarter.
No, Chris Crum on the interior of that defensive line is somebody they really count on to be stout at the point of attack. And by the looks of the stretching they're doing, it does look like it could be a cramp type situation. That's typically what you see. You don't like to guess on an injury, but you see the massaging of the calf, the way they're stretching it. It's probably the most likely situation. Which, you know, you don't expect it. Hey, they're indoors. It's not exactly humid, but it's the first game of the season. You know, guys are still used to, hey, you might have been practicing pretty hard through camp, but there's a whole nother level of exertion when you're coming into a game time situation.
Well, and you can tell right there, I mean, that doesn't look like your biggest starting defensive lineman in a 3-4, but that is what it is for Ball State. He's 272 pounds, but he's such a disruptor, and him missing much of the spring was a big deal. So now it's Justin Ramsey, their freshman, playing the nose in a big spot for this defense. Scott picks his way down to the 4. Indiana can still get a first down just inside the 2-yard line.
I think you continue running this zone read. Let Penix read it. Read the end man on the line of scrimmage. You've been running the ball down here. You don't have a lot of decision making to make. You don't become susceptible to a turnover here.
Penix is under center. Hand off to Scott. Full steam ahead. Touchdown Hoosiers. Get him some more momentum when you go under center. And Stevie Scott's got his first touchdown of the year.
You know, the power run game from that formation, getting the quarterback under center, it's a lost art. We don't see it a lot anymore in college football with the up-tempo, flashy offenses. This is just old school. The guard pulls around, the power-o scheme. Getting it right up there, gashing Ball State, right up the gut. We saw Crum off the field. They attacked the vulnerability of that middle.
Justus adds the extra point. And knocked down to boot. This could be another penalty on Ball State. And they'll tack that onto the kickoff, whether it's running into the kicker or roughing the kicker. But some of those mental issues starting to come into play here for the Cardinals.
Running into the kicker, defense. That penalty has been declined. The result of the play is a successful extra point. Timeout on the field for media.
So an opening drive, dominant effort for Indiana right down the field. And Stevie Scott has got the Hoosiers up 2 scores. Well, Ball State's defense just gave up an opening third-quarter touchdown drive to Indiana, and this is something you don't see very often. Guys huddled around the bench, sure, but guys are set up like they're in class. with David Elson, the defensive coordinator, teaching right on the sidelines. This has been going on since the extra point. They came in, the chairs were set up a line. It looks like a meeting room.
It looks like a classroom. I mean, that's Professor Elson right there giving a lecture on what they need to do differently to get off the field for Ball State. I have not ever seen that either. I've seen arcs like you sit in a little circle, semicircle, but not the rows of classes.
Well, of all the things that Tom Allen's going to be happy about on the Indiana sidelines, this is not going to be one of them. That is the second kickoff out of bounds by Nathaniel Snyder.
Kickoff out of bounds. Kicking team number 99. The ball will be placed at the 35-yard line. First down.
Now, one of the things that I am somewhat decent at is lip reading. I'm pretty sure Tom Allen says you have one job to do.
You are exactly right. You have one job to do, and it's not kick it out of bounds. Ah, kickers. Every coach has a love-hate relationship with their kickers. You can decide what portion of this is that relationship. I'll let you determine that. All right, so
we'll leave that for the other classroom.
All right, so we talked about the adjustments that are made. Indiana established the run game. Defensively, I think they're going to try to get after Drew Plitt a little bit more.
Well, he rolls out right away, move the pocket to the sideline, Justin Hall. But again, not a lot of space. Devon Matthews right there in coverage. But Drew Plitt, as much protection as he had early in the ballgame, that started to break down a little bit towards the end of the second quarter.
And I think that's why you're going to see the adjustment for Ball State. Get the ball out of its hands quicker and move the pocket. You saw a little half roll out there. You can't set back there at a certain point and let Indiana's defense tee off on you.
Picked up 3 on first down. They run a little option to the right. Huntley in space. And Marcelino Ball, perfect position to hold him up for the rest of the defense to come bring down the back.
Jason, I know it's early, there's plenty of time left, but I really feel like this drive and possibly even this third down is maybe one of the most critical of the entire game. If you're Ball State, you have to keep counter-punching Indiana like they did in the first half. You don't want to put your defense back on the field in a three-and-out situation. Got to find a way to convert here and counter-punch the team from the Big Ten. Here's the pressure situation.
Hoosiers showing the pressure up the middle. They back out. Plitt settles into the pocket and finds Hall on the slant. Grabbed it out of midair, and it's a first down for Ball State.
But they're trusting their defensive back, saying, hey, go ahead and try to complete it on us. And a nice job by Ball State. Just the great man-to-man route on the inside. Plitt protection. So it's a nice, perfect little slant to his guy, Justin Hall, throw and catch, and that's a big conversion here for Ball State.
And they're going after Indiana's best member in the secondary, Marcelino Ball. Been a playmaker for this Hoosiers defense since the day he arrived on campus. Double fake. Plitt dumps it down for Fletcher. A nice job to scamper to pick up 2. That looked like it was a disaster waiting to happen.
It could have been, but that was a design screen. Sometimes the best, most effective screens are when the defense thinks they have you as the quarterback. See, think they're going to get a sack and you can flip it outside, but a pretty nice tackle by number 96 for Indiana defensively there, saving a big play.
And that's Shamar Jones getting some time, the redshirt freshman from Johnstown, Pennsylvania. Plitt back to the air quick. Riley Miller turned around at the last second. And that third down conversion is now starting to spark some momentum for Ball State.
And also notice the quick hitting pass game right there from Plitt to Miller. Not any hesitation. It's 3 steps, hit your back foot, get it out of your hand. And Miller did not have his head turned around out of the break yet. That was thrown on timing and rhythm from Plitt to Miller.
4 grabs for Miller, 35 yards. Ball leads the Cardinals with 5 grabs. 8 straight completions for Drew Plitt. Pressure comes into the pocket, takes the sack. Jamar Johnson coming off the edge.
Johnson coming off the edge. I told you, Jason, they're going to try to bring pressure. They get the free man coming. This one's on Plitt. Remember earlier in the game, he noticed the corner blitz and he got rid of it. That's one where he has to recognize you can't take a sack there. Sacks like that are drive killers, especially right when you cross midfield. You're getting closer to field goal range, putting yourself in a much tougher spot. Find a way, either check out of it or throw it away.
They lost 7 on first down. Dumps it down to Fletcher. Gets all that back. And breaks the tackle. Fletcher off to the edge. What a touchdown. The former Division II running back gets Ball State back into the ballgame.
Jason, you remember early in the first half I said checkdowns are a quarterback's best friend. Nothing there down the field. You're just trying to get half the yardage back. One missed tackle allows your running back to get to the outside, escape there, and Walter Fletcher, really nice escapability there. And a great response for Ball State.
Remember when Joey Lynch told us yesterday that Fletcher could play at a lot of Power 5 schools? Yep. That broken tackle might have just saved this game, as that one is banged in off the upright. But it counts the same as if it splits the middle. Walter Fletcher, debut on the FBS level and in an NFL stadium, and he's got a touchdown.
College football on CBS Sports Network is sponsored by Werner. Step up your game with Werner Ladder. By Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. And by Chick-fil-A's new mac and cheese. It's both cheesy and crispy on top. Need we say more?
Now, Ball State and Indiana opening up the 2019 season in Lucas Oil, but they played the first ever college football game here in this building back in 2011, with Ball State beating Indiana 27-20. And that was a huge game for both squads because both had new head coaches, a lot of excitement. It's full stadium. As Ellis gets it back out to the 25, and that was in the middle, Danny, of what would be 3 straight Ball State wins in the series. But Indiana has won the last couple, including last year by 4 touchdowns. But you talked about that last drive for Ball State, how crucial it was to respond to Indiana's touchdown drive, and the Cardinals did it.
Really impressive counterpunch there for Ball State offensively. And now their defense, which struggled mightily the last drive, now it's up to their task. And again, Indiana's the Big Ten team. They're trying to establish the line of scrimmage. This is a great little matchup we've got here, back and forth between these two teams.
Crum's still not on the field for Ball State. He went out on that last drive with an injury. The nose tackle for Ball State's defense. Try the middle, and it's a couple more for Stevie Scott. Down at the 29, so give him 3.
Ball State defensively is getting more guys in that box around, you know, the tackle-to-tackle box, and it's specifically to stop the run game, which Indiana's been trying to take advantage of, but eventually that will open up opportunities down the field.
The Cardinals had 7 in the box, now they had 8. Back one out. Pocket holds, Penix dumps it down. Dangerous throw. Jalen Thomas read that perfectly and hung with Stevie Scott.
That's a tough spot to be in as a quarterback. You're going through your progressions, especially a young quarterback. You're going, look, I'm surveying the field, not there, goes to his check down. Doesn't see the defender, that it was a very dangerous throw and almost a costly pick 6.
So now they spread it out. Indiana, good day on 3rd down, 4-6. Ball State's defense has given up 5 scoring drives and has gotten off the field twice with interceptions. Can they force Indiana into a punt? Failure, knocked away. Nick Jones, the true freshman cornerback from Detroit. They say he's going to play a lot this year because he's that good, not because they have to, and that's a big stop.
That was a man-to-man beater route that Walt Fillier's got to give him a little more separation there. It's a juke route, so he's supposed to juke back to the outside. You got to burst out of that route so the receiver has, or the quarterback has somewhere to throw to. But again, you noticed a pretty nice defensive play there by Nick Jones.
First punt of the day for Hayden Whitehead, 3rd-year punter for the Hoosiers. Fair catch called for by Hall and makes it at the 22. So Ball State's defense, which was in class with the defensive coordinator last time off the field, now they get a stop. Can the Cardinals offense take the lead? Now Michael Penix Jr. has had his ups and downs here in his first career start, the redshirt freshman from Tampa, but he's got a 23-17 lead, and part of that is our Geico difference makers, at least his teammate, that's Nick Westbrook. Over 100 yards today, including a 75-yard touchdown reception earlier in the ball game. 6th career 100-yard game. And then on the other side, the guy who just had the touchdown grab, the grad transfer from Edinboro College, the D2 school in Pennsylvania, making a massive difference for Ball State.
What an incredible story here. Playing on national stage, national television, getting his opportunity to finally play with the big boys and making the most of it.
Plitt checks it down. Justin Hole getting short gain, but they're not having any mistakes, and that's going to be a personal foul.
What a silly penalty there for Indiana. Believe that's going to go against Indiana. End of that play. Saw them getting tangled up a little bit. And Justin Hall just kind of flipped out of there by number 9. Lino Ball takes his leg.
After the play was over, unsportsmanlike conduct, defense number 9, 15-yard penalty from the end of the run, automatic first down. That is number 9's first unsportsmanlike conduct foul of the game.
That's Lino Ball, one of their better defenders, and that's just a dumb play, right? I don't know what the name of the wrestling move is. I'm not too much of a WWE fan right there.
Takedown.
But yeah, whatever it was not very smart.
Well, you're allowed to do that, though, in the WWE. It's
Yes,
late.
that is the big difference.
That's actually encouraged.
Yes, correct.
Here it's a different story. You know, we talked about the fact that so often in opening games, you have so much sloppiness. Indiana has not had that until there. So back to the ground on first down. And Ball State has stuck with this game plan for much of this ball game. Last drive they went back to the air, but Caleb Huntley has been so much a part of this offense. He's going to have 20-25 carries before this game is over. He's up to 17 now for the offense under the direction of Joey Lynch. Plitt looking for Miller, taking a shot. Jalen Williams step for step in coverage. I'll bring up third down.
Trying to take a shot on the outside, a little stop and go, hitch and go. See there, sell the short route, no separation whatsoever. Riley Miller trying to give a little late hands there, make that catch. Really nothing there, just an attempt to try to give yourself some room at the line of scrimmage by taking that shot down the field for Ball State offensively.
Third and 7. Blitz comes. Back to Miller. Batted up in the air, and Cam Jones makes the defensive stop for Indiana.
That's the matchup you want. Cam Jones, the linebacker, lined up against Riley Miller. That's pretty good coverage right there. Maybe a little bit of early contact, but timed it just enough where the officials didn't take notice.
Well, and there's also the transformation. Jones last year played that Husky position, more of a safety hybrid linebacker, moved to linebacker this year, but clearly has the coverage skills. Snyder, another booming punt. Filliard grabs it on the run. Out past the 25, up to the 27. Indiana will come back out on offense with 6:02 to go to the third. Hey, more college football coming your way. Holy Cross battling Navy. Midshipmen trying to bounce back from a rough year last year. And then Missouri tonight on the road taking on Wyoming, 7:30 Eastern, all right here on CBS Sports Network. Kelly Bryant, certainly a focal point of that game tonight. The grad transfer after leaving Clemson last year. Certainly one of the storylines in college football heading into the year, Danny, is the fact that you have more than 30 quarterbacks, 30 starting quarterbacks who last year were at a different spot.
It is an epidemic across college football for sure.
Penix to the air, Westbrook. It's behind him, no flag. Uzodinma, who had an interception earlier in the half. And Tom Allen is pleading for a penalty flag.
A little bit of contact there. Yeah, you see the left hand on the jersey of Westbrook there as Penix throws it under a little bit of pressure. Tom Allen making the case for his offense, his wide receiver. Love when a coach stands up for your players. I don't think it was worthy of a call, though.
Not a bit catchable anyway. Penix. Fletcher batted back. Bryce Cosby waiting for it. And it'll bring up 3rd and long for Indiana.
Bryce Cosby, they've tried to work that middle of the field. Indiana has several times. So we recognize a great break on the football, almost stepping in front of Fletcher for potential interception. But a nice breakup nonetheless by Bryce Cosby.
So on 3rd and 10. Penix, design quarterback keeper. Plenty of room in the first down. Right through the gut of the Ball State defense. Penix picked up 14 yards.
Since the 2 interceptions, that's what Kalen DeBoer has relied on from Mike Penix. It's, hey, this is a design quarterback run on 3rd and long. You give him a chance. There's no chance of throwing an interception. You take that out of his mind and get the ball with that athleticism, get the ball in his hands. He's able to pick up the first down.
So you're switching sides of the field again. Penix run the wheel route for Guest, and he's drilled through his hands, and Ray Wilborn, converted to safety for this year, just drilled him in the back.
Well, I like the play call, a little misdirection, everything working to the right side of your screen, and then you slip the back out of the backfield, and that's a tough ask to ask a running back to make a catch like that. Probably should have been made, but those running backs, that's why they're running backs. That's not the one why they're not wide receivers. It's a tough ask.
They feel their running backs have good hands, particularly Cole Guest and Ronnie Walker. We've seen both of them. We've seen Stevie Scott, who grabs that one out of the backfield, but immediately met Antonio Phillips, who picked off a pass in the first half as well, sets up another 3rd and long for Indiana.
Remember what Ball State head coach Mike New told us last night? The keys to the game, what he said we really have to do well is tackle defensively. That was a beautiful open field tackle when you're on an island by Antonio Phillips, and now a chance 3rd down to get off the field.
Walker in the backfield with Penix here on this 3rd and 7. Fletcher and Westbrook to the bottom of the screen. This is a big play here in the late stages of the 3rd quarter. Ball State only brings 3, dumps it down to Walker, and a sure tackle again. They pushed him out of bounds. Phillips there with Clayton Cole, the freshman linebacker, and 4th down coming up for Indiana.
They're going to punt this away. You can't take that risk there. You got to punt. Put Ball State, pin them back. Rely on your defense to make a critical stop here. Some of those players are probably begging to go for it. It's probably the wise choice. And since the classroom session, Jason, this Ball State defense has done a pretty nice job with 2 stops.
It's worked out well. Lefty punter Whitehead. Miller tries to use the fake, but Whitehead gets the punter's best friend. A good bounce, and it'll pin Ball State inside the 10 when we come back. Good opener here in Indianapolis to kick off 2019, and your first full Saturday here on CBS Sports Network. Taking a look at the New family. Mike New, his wife Charmin on the right, and that is his youngest son. That is Chase, who we got to see yesterday at Ball State's walkthrough. And Chase might only be 9 years old, but already, Danny Cannell, Chase New is running steps.
He's training.
And he's doing it in a suit.
I love it. They said they had to get his suit ready, miss school to ride with the team here to Indianapolis. Wanted to come for the pregame walkthrough, comes back down on the field. My man's got his mind right.
Now, it doesn't matter that he had spilled red Gatorade on that suit on the way.
Why you got to out him like that? No one knew that.
His dad did that last night when we sat down with him. He's like, oh, he was so excited.
That was supposed to be between us. Now his mom's going to find out. He's probably going to be in trouble now.
I think the suit was probably cleaned very well overnight.
Yep.
So after the defensive stop, the run for Ball State coming out from the 9-yard line. And the stop there from DeMarcus Elliott. But this is a big day for the entire new family because that is Mike's daughter. That is Grayson, who is making her debut as a Ball State cheerleader. And remember, Mike New played at Ball State, one of the best quarterbacks in Ball State history, 93 MAC Offensive Player of the Year, coming back home in a critical season. It's his 4th year as head coach of his alma mater. Back to the ground on 2nd down, broken tackle. Another one for Caleb Huntley. And he picks up 8 yards to make it 3rd and manageable at the 18-yard line with 3 minutes to go here in the 3rd quarter.
Indiana brought pressure, had several defenders on the other line of scrimmage. But Caleb Huntley was having none of it. That's sometimes as a running back what you have to do. You have to make either one guy miss or you've got to simply run them over, which seems to be Caleb Huntley's skill set.
19 carries, 71 yards for the junior running back from Atlanta. Carry number 20. Out over the 20, he's met right at the sticks, but it's enough for a 1st down, and so Ball State will keep possession. It's also getting a lot chippier on the field right now. Leno Ball continuing to chirp after the personal foul, the unsportsmanlike on the last drive. You can feel the intensity in this game. There's been a lot of buildup in the 9 months to this one for both of these squads. Plitt keeps it himself, and he's going down. James Head Jr. got to the backfield. Got him for a loss of 1.
No one's going to confuse Drew Plitt for really a dual threat quarterback, but sometimes you want to keep this just to keep the end man on the line on scrimmage, and that's a really solid adjustment from Indiana to notice that on the fly. Big number 6, James Head, recognized that, redirected, and getting the tackle.
Indiana wasn't ready for that snap. The dump down to Fletcher. This time he's not breaking a tackle. Andre Brown for a loss of 2. Now Walter Fletcher, who broke the tackle on the last one and ended up going for a touchdown grab. This time, different story. So 3rd and 12 coming up for Ball State to approach a 1.5 minutes to go here in the 3rd quarter, down 6.
So Indiana just shuttled in an entirely new defensive line for this spot specifically to get after the passer. 4 fresh bodies up front, trying to get after Drew Plitt.
And that's a big body in the middle, too. That's Juan Harris, a 350-pounder. They only bring 3. Plitt over the top. Nowhere close to Johannes Tyler. And Ball State will have to punt.
That's the struggle for Ball State, struggling to get separation from their receivers versus this Indiana secondary. They've been able to run the football, they've been able to get the short, quick passing game, but on longer 3rd down situations and really creating any big plays, they have not had much success.
So Snyder on to punt it again, his 5th punt of the afternoon. He's averaged 45 yards per punt so far here today. Gets away another good one. Villier calls for a fair catch and makes it at the 34-yard line. 47 yards on the punt from Nathan Snyder. Well, we had week 0. We've had a couple of days here in week 1. What are some early season takeaways for you?
For me, Trevor Lawrence is human after all, right? He was built up, and I love him still, and I still think Clemson has a great chance to repeat, but he did have 2 interceptions. And then Wisconsin, all we've talked about from the Big Ten is Ohio State and Michigan. There have been teams there historically that we consistently overlook. Really impressive last night on the road against South Florida. Jonathan Taylor had a monster night.
Yeah, and then how about UCLA? Back-to-back years losing the opener to Cincinnati. They struggled to get 200 yards on the road on Thursday night, and maybe Cincinnati is the competition again for UCF. Back to the ground with Stevie Scott, maybe a yard. Been a little bit more of a defensive battle here in the 3rd quarter.
It's a great back and forth this game is. Ball State just hanging around. Indiana struggling to put this game away as the favorite in this spot, the bigger team from the Big Ten.
Well, you mentioned, too, the Big Ten West, and nobody talking about Wisconsin. Purdue last night blew a 17-point second-half lead in the loss at Nevada. Penix, deep shot, wide open receiver, and he dropped it! Michael! My goodness, Nick Westbrook was open.
Man, this is going to keep Nick Westbrook awake tonight. When he's trying to sleep, win or lose, he's going to see this ball coming down and say, how did I miss this ball? And it is impossible to explain. Kept his eyes on it, maybe felt the safety coming his way, but that's just a flat-out drop. Ball goes right through the wickets.
Nick Westbrook caught the 75-yard touchdown earlier. Off the field on this 3rd and 9. Penix, another strike. This time it's Donovan Hale. And Indiana crosses midfield as we dip inside of 20 seconds to go in the 3rd quarter. And the Hoosiers don't have to run another play if they don't want to. How about that from Penix?
Big
Have the strike and then come back with that.
Yep. Doesn't let it phase him. Been really impressed with how Penix has handled any sort of adversity, whether it's his own interception or a drop ball like that one, which would have been a touchdown.
First catch of the afternoon for Hale. Scott falls forward. 3 more yards for Stevie Scott. Well, the 3rd quarter began with Indiana on top by 6. It ends with Indiana on top by 6. Heading to the 4th, 23-17. And you're watching college football on CBS Sports Network, presented by Home Depot. Getting set for the start of the 4th quarter. Indiana and Ball State, pair of teams who think this year is going to be very different than the last couple of years, and they're fighting it out here in the opener. Along with Danny Cannell, Jason Horwitz, happy to welcome you back to Indianapolis. Been very entertaining. We had some big plays, some big hits, some turnovers, everything you want in week 1.
Oh, it's been thoroughly entertaining. Yeah, give me some more football. Been so excited, and this has lived up to the billing for sure. Ball State just hanging around against the power from the Big Ten. A lot of guys on this team playing with a chip on their shoulder. And Indiana looking for that knockout blow.
Penix back to the air to start the 4th. Hits Stevie Scott out of the backfield. Breaks a couple of tackles. And Scott down to the 26-yard line. So they pick up another chunk play and a 1st down.
Nice mix between taking their shots down the field, but also giving Mike Penix plenty of shorter, high percentage completion throws. And his guys are doing a pretty nice job of getting some yards after the catch.
Penix approaching a 300-yard day here in the opener. To the air, down the middle. His tight end's wide open again. Peyton Hendershot for the 3rd time this afternoon, right down the seam, and it's 1st and goal.
Just going to see a little bunch formation. A couple of these guys going to go this. Watch right up the middle. This Hendershot, beautiful seam throw there from Penix.
They go fast. Scott leans the ball forward. Didn't quite get it there. Now bring up 2nd and goal. Well, we've talked about responses, both sides of the ball, all afternoon. Penix bouncing back after interceptions, and then Penix bouncing back after Nick Westbrook dropped what would have been another long touchdown pass, and they've marched right back down the field. On 2nd and goal from the 2. Scott lowers his head. Touchdown, Hoosiers! 2nd time today, Stevie Scott scores from short distance, and Indiana goes back up 2 scores.
I thought Indiana the 2nd half would have tried to establish that line of scrimmage a little bit more, and they've done that successfully. This time, short yardage situation, relying on their running back, Stevie Scott, 1,100 yards rushing last year. They are going to look at this one again, but I don't think there's any doubt he is in for the touchdown.
Well, nothing of those angles. Of course, in college football, every play is reviewable. Now the question is, was Stevie Scott's knee, elbow, forearm down? Is there a look to say absolutely no touchdown?
We've looked at a couple, haven't seen anything yet. Puts his head down, reaches.
Can't tell from there.
Nope. This is probably your best chance to see anything. But see,
his legs are up in the air.
I think his legs are up in the air. I think that's a touchdown all day long.
After reviewing the play, the ruling on the field of touchdown is confirmed.
You know, Danny, one of the things that Indiana talked about leading up to this season is that they needed to give more of a break for Stevie Scott because he had 228 carries last year in 12 games, and he's approaching 20 carries again. there haven't been any massive gains. 16 carries, 41 yards, but they've started to wear down Ball State here in the second half. So Indiana's going to go for 2, try to make it a 14-point lead. And Mike News taking a timeout for Ball State.
Charge timeout, Ball State. This will be their first timeout of the half.
So they're going to go for 2.
30 seconds in length.
2-point conversion coming back in 30 seconds. So the defensive timeout taken by Ball State. We'll see later if that comes back to something they need. In the meantime, trying to stop the 2-point conversion. Penix gives it back to David Ellis, who throws it to the back of the end zone. What a creative play for 2. Peyton Hendershot to his knees to make the grab.
Well, Tom Allen said he was going to give the reins to Kalen DeBoer and say, do whatever you got to do to put points on the board. How about a little creative, the wide receiver pass for the 2-point conversion?
Now, Indiana tight end Peyton Hendershot had just 15 catches last year, but he came into the season saying he wants 50. Why? Well, because the new offensive coordinator, Kalen DeBoer, had a tight end at Fresno State last year, Jared Rice, who had 55. And Peyton Hendershot, Danny Cannell, has certainly been featured in this ballgame. 3 grabs, 59 yards, and he just caught the 2-point conversion.
Yep, I mean, you saw the creativity there. Kalen DeBoer brought in here to help this offense get more explosive. We've seen plenty of explosive plays from this offense today. Kalen DeBoer has been somebody who is known historically to turn offenses around.
Well, if you're an Indiana fan, you got to be excited about some of the new players that you're seeing this year and some of the new wrinkles. Up by 2 scores. If we take a look at the Chick-fil-A game summary, the new kickoff man for Indiana, too, after the 2 that went out of bounds earlier. 437 yards for a Hoosiers offense in the Kalen DeBoer era debut, but 312 yards passing for Michael Penix Jr. in his first career start.
And don't forget about the Nick Westbrook drop that would have probably at least had another 50
70 yards.
60, yeah, maybe even more to that total. So a really impressive debut for him. Even the 2 interceptions, yeah, you give an excuse, a pass to one of them. One of them was a bad decision, but that's part of the learning process of being a young quarterback taking over this Indiana team. Now, remember to start the 3rd quarter, I said this drive was so vital for Ball State. This is yet another one. They've got to score, find a way to put points on the board this drive to stay in this game.
And they have, when they have put together drives, it has been a little bit more methodical. They might have to hit some big plays. Plitt's in trouble. Ziemba can't bring him down. Plitt racing outside. Races into an Indiana defender. 2 yards for Drew Plitt, and then right into the stomach of Alfred Bryant.
That might be the hardest fought 2-yard gain you'll see all day today in college football. Plitt gets a little spin move to get out of trouble, and you got to be really careful as a quarterback when you cut back to the middle of the field, because you're going against the grain there, can really find yourself vulnerable, and wisely chooses to get down. And Mike News saying, all right, thankfully, get him back for another down.
He's like, let's get the fullback in here. Cody Rudy. Play action. Plitt again in trouble. This time can't get rid of it. Indiana has its 2nd sack of the day. James Miller, the redshirt freshman, cleaned it up.
Well, one thing Ball State has been able to do up to this point is to not really worry. Hey, we can run the football. We don't have to be in that much of a sense of urgency. This drive, back-to-back passes, and with this Indiana defense realizing that, hey, this team probably has to throw the ball a little bit more. They're pinning their ears back, and they're getting after Drew Plitt.
Well, that's the 2nd time, too. It's part of their play design. Turn your back on the play action and then turn the other direction. That time didn't work out. 3rd and 15. They need the 35. To the air. Got it! Johans Tyler in space. And he crosses midfield on a big gainer from Drew Plitt. 32 yards on the pickup.
Big target up the middle, split the seam. Beautiful execution by Ball State. That is a massive, massive 3rd down conversion.
Out of the backfield, it's Will Jones made the grab. Their 3rd running back, and he picks up 5.
I don't think Ball State can put Drew Plitt back there, have him sit back there for 2 or 3 seconds to survey the field. They're going to have to move the pocket, get the ball out of his hands quickly, like that play right there. Because if he's sitting back there for longer than 2 or 3 seconds, he's going to have an Indiana defender in his face.
No, they're not in a rush.
No,
12 minutes to go, down 14. They can do this. They can run.
And they got away from that those first couple plays. I like the fact that they're able to run it there. They can't get away from what they've been able to do all game long, and that has been able to run the football against Indiana.
Now flag down here on this second down play.
Personal foul, hands to the face, defense number 9. 15-yard penalty, automatic first down.
That's Lino ball again. He's had a little bit of a rough day for Tom Allen.
Ball number 9 right there. You can see his hands get up right in the helmet of the offensive lineman for Ball State.
It's the redshirt freshman Luke Martin pushing back. So Ball State's down with a 1st and 10 on the 27. Plitt and play action. Racing away. Now got to throw it away. Jamar Johnson, who had a sack in the second quarter, giving chase.
Moving that pocket, Jason. That's what I was talking about. Little play action really took a long time to develop, but that's a decision. That's a good decision by Drew Plitt. Maybe years past, last year at 8 interceptions, maybe tried to force it. That time just choosing to throw it away.
11 pressures on Plitt, couple of sacks. And if you're wondering, by the way, on Lino Ball, hands to the face is a personal foul. He had the unsportsmanlike earlier. Hands to the face, not an unsportsmanlike conduct. Plitt pressure from the backside. Dumps it down to Huntley. Can't get away from McFadden. So another big 3rd down coming up for Drew Plitt.
You notice the last couple passes, not straight dropbacks, moving the pocket, play action. They're just a little bit slow developing plays. And that time, Drew Plitt able to get to his check down.
Now the go-to guy for Plitt is Miller. He's in the slot at the bottom of your screen. That's their other go-to guy in motion, Justin Hall. Pressure up the middle. Hoosiers bring everybody. Plitt to the end zone. Hall's open, and he can't grab it. Stumbling towards the goal line, over his shoulder, turned around, and it's 4th down.
And pretty good protection there for Plitt. Tries to loft it. You're just basically throwing it to a spot right back there. Just for whatever reason, him and Hall not on the same page. I think Plitt knows he had an opportunity to make a big throw and catch right there. Just not on the same page with Hall.
So Rimmler on for a 42-yard field goal attempt. Has the distance, but no good. Off to the right. Ball State turned away, and the Hoosiers come back on the field up 2 touchdowns. .51 to go in the 4th quarter. Indiana leading Ball State 31-17. Let's see who's doing some of the dirty work in today's game. Brought to you by Coyote, and certainly you've had a big impact from cornerback Antonio Phillips. And they're going to need that again here as Ball State's defense has to come down and get a stop.
Get on the run support a little bit. Here he comes up with an interception thrown right at him. Makes a nice little grab there. Another open field tackle. That was something Mike News emphasized. Hey, we got to make those open field tackles. Antonio Phillips. A little dirty work today.
Stevie Scott, Jacob White after a 3-yard gain.
All right, they're not in their 4-minute offense yet, clearly, with 10 minutes, 10:37 to go in this game. But it'll be interesting to see if Indiana slows it down just a little bit, trying to take a little bit more of that play clock than they typically would when they go a little bit more up-tempo.
Scott again, just a couple yards.
This is that really weird time of a game as an offense. You're up by 2 touchdowns. You feel pretty good. You don't want to get too conservative, because if you go 3 and out, then you kind of give Ball State another chance. So it's that weird dynamic, because a play caller can be very tricky. Because you don't want to make a critical mistake. You still have to generate some offense.
Well, they're running behind their new starting right tackle, Caleb Jones. 6'8", 358-pound redshirt sophomore out of right here in Indianapolis. One of the biggest players in all of the Big Ten. They're comfortable with him as their new starting right tackle. Penix, quick throw, Freifogel, can't make a play. What a hit! Jalen Thomas, starting middle linebacker. And a 3 and out for Indiana.
Jalen Thomas, one of the toughest things you got to do is shed some blockers to try to get up there for the little screen pass. Sniffs it out, and then watch him just split right through the middle there, square him up, hit him right in the middle with a great open field tackle. It's full speed, bam!
Well,
look at that.
The other thing you were just talking about, that dangerous spot, don't want to go too slow, don't want to go too fast. Your offense has moved the ball pretty much at will throughout this game. Why stop that? Whitehead booms the punt.
Bomb.
Hall all the way back and falls down. He made the catch inside the 10 and couldn't turn around. Long field to go thanks to the bomb from Hayden Whitehead.
College football on CBS Sports Network is sponsored by Coyote Tractor. We dig dirt. By Corona Premier. Lower carbs, lower calories, higher expectations. And by the Ram 1500, Motor Trend's 2019 Truck of the Year.
Now that young face on the left of your screen right there is Coy Cronk. Back at Lafayette Central Catholic High School in 2015. He still looks like he's that young, although he's a senior. 10 players in this game have won Indiana State High School championships in this building, including that man who's now 6'5" and 325. And many will believe will be on the all Big Ten lists when the season is over in his 4th year as a starter. But for now, he's got to watch his defense go to work, and Caleb Huntley gets out over the 12 for a pickup of 6.
All right, so now you got to pick up the pace if you're Ball State. A little bit more sense of urgency. You don't have to abandon the run. I like the toss sweep there on the first down call. You definitely have to start playing with a little bit more of a sense of urgency with 8:30 left here in the 4th quarter, trailing by 2.
And again, they've only had 2 explosive plays. Ball State has had 2 plays over 20 yards. Pocket holds. Good protection, first down. Complete to the tight end, Nolan Gibbon. Redshirt junior out of Berkeley, Michigan.
And that's what becomes a problem for them, because they really don't have that guy that can pop the top off of a defense from the wide receiver position. More possession type receivers, not a lot of guys that can create a lot of separation, so it's going to make it a tough task for them to get some quick striking scores.
They've hit a couple of big plays. Antoine Davis has one. Johan Tyler has one as well. Plitt back to the ground to Fletcher. Bottled up Thomas Allen. That is coach's son making the stop. Has not played a ton in this ball game because they have so much depth at linebacker, but that's a big tackle. Near sideline for Davis. In a hand fight and made the grab. Davis in a battle with Andre Brown and somehow caught it on his back.
Again, not any separation whatsoever, but Drew Plitt has to take the chance down the field. And Davis, with really tight coverage, guy in his lap, comes up with a catch on the ground, no less.
And replay didn't stop to make sure that that was a catch.
Yep.
And Ball State went fast enough. Got
Smart
the play
move.
off.
Hey, if you go fast enough, get that next play. A lot of teams will have a fire call, some sort of call that you get up there and run something fast so they can't look at it again.
Danny, he caught that ball in his
on his
thighs.
back.
In his thighs.
Yeah.
Went through his arms. Plitt reads it to the left. Gets out across the 50 and has another first down.
Let's have another look at that catch from Antoine Davis. on his falling down, kind of catches it right there in his thighs, you were mentioning, with his legs.
Back to Davis, this time more conventional with his hands.
Yes.
But that
Short,
play,
methodical,
they've hit
just chunks, just keep taking these 8, 9, 10, 12-yard gains.
And Tom Allen's going to take a timeout.
Yeah, they need a breather. Maybe their defense starting to get a little bit gassed.
And he's getting after somebody. Racing onto the field to talk to his starting linebacker, Micah McFadden, and the whole defense. Now, Riley Miller, our player profile, brought to you by Corona Premier. Especially when you're looking for a go-to guy in a big spot. This is one of those guys. Last year, 61 grabs after 30 in his sophomore season. Most returning receiving yards in the MAC this year. Plitt the other direction, and Tyler makes the grab, and in space, Johannes Tyler! Touchdown, Ball State!
Jason, this is the exact same play. There's a corner blitz, and you're just going to have Tyler slip up the sideline. Do you remember this, Jason? First half, remember Tyler kept running down the field. They weren't on the same page. There was a defense, a corner blitz. They missed it. That time, they connect on it. One missed tackle, and you get a touchdown right back in this game.
Ryan McFadden went for the interception instead of for the tackle. So a short gain turns into a touchdown. And now we got a game once again. 31-24 in Ball State. Question is, can the defense get a stop? Now, Johannes Tyler, one of the younger receivers that they're excited about, and on the same page with Drew Plitt. Bryant Fitzgerald went for the interception, didn't get it, but at the end, question for Tyler was just how close was he to not getting in the end zone? That's the question. It doesn't matter now.
Nope.
But it was close.
It was close. I think we've looked at this several different ways. I still think he scored. That ball, the knee is down, but the ball is across the goal line. But a good look at it there. I'm telling you, that's one of the reasons Drew Plitt, coaches were excited about him. Hey, he's seen a lot of football. He recognizes things. Again, that left corner blitz coming from your blind side. Sometimes quarterbacks miss that. He saw it the entire way and made the great throw.
271 yards passing, couple of touchdowns, but what did they say he had to eliminate? Turnovers in key spots, no interceptions. Kickoff to Ellis. In the corner coming out from the 5. The dynamic freshman with some space. And man, he has had an impact today. He takes it out to the 30. Let's revisit some of the keys that you had from earlier in the ballgame. You talked about Indiana needing to get some explosive plays. Haven't had a ton in this ballgame.
The big drop by Nick Westbrook would have been another opportunity. They've done an outstanding job getting after Drew Plitt. You see the 11 pressures. And then for Ball State, they have been committed to the run. Not the big numbers, but they've stayed true to it. And sound tackling, we saw the Antonio Phillips play in the open field. We've seen a couple nice open field tackles from Ball State defensively.
And the broken tackles on the other side, which led to the 45-yard touchdown pass to Walter Fletcher. Penix kept it himself. Michael Penix showing the legs to the Ball State 45-yard line. He picks up 25 yards.
To me, this has been the safety valve for Kalen DeBoer as the offensive coordinator. Anytime they kind of need a play or you're in a situation, go with that zone read, put the ball in Michael Penix's hands, let him make that decision, and you can see the dynamic he brings in the run game. Remember the last drive? They were a little conservative. They go 3 and out. That is a big response right there.
When we talked to him this week, he made sure to say, I am a pro-style quarterback who can run.
Yep.
300 yards passing to go with 69 yards on the ground. This time it's Stevie Scott, maybe a couple of yards as we tick inside of 6 minutes.
And that's the evolution of the quarterback position. The days are gone of seeing a guy just stand back there like a statue, survey the field, not be able to run the football. Penix is the quarterback of 2019. This is what we're seeing across college football in the NFL even too.
And he's now got a stud freshman as his running back as Scott went off the field. And here in an important spot, they bring in the freshman, Samson James, number 24, 6'1", 220-pound freshman. Originally was committed to go to Ohio State before changing his mind. Play action to James, dumps it down to the tight end. Hendershot with his 4th grab of the afternoon, and it's a first down at the Ball State 33.
Now this is a situation probably where you're telling the players offensively, hey, if you're near the sideline, stay in bounds, just like that last play. You saw Hendershot there carrying the ball. Could have gone out of bounds, tucked it back, kept it inside. You want to keep that clock moving.
Stevie Scott has carried the ball 19 times today. Interesting spot to bring in.
Well, I hope you tell him to secure that football.
First collegiate carry, and he's tracked down from behind. Christian Albright, we have not called his name a lot today. Best player on this Ball State defense, but made the stop. No, that's one of those plays that in talking to the staff yesterday, they said he makes a lot of really great plays. You don't even realize it because he's just that fluid. Clock continues to run. Be inside of 4 minutes when Indiana takes the next snap. James off the field. Scott, the tailback again next to Penix. On 2nd and 10. Keeps it himself. Ball State read it the whole way. Albright again. First in the hole.
This is a spot where they're definitely outside of field goal range. This is one where a young quarterback has to be aware of the moment. You don't have to get the first down. Maybe get a positive completion here. It'll be really interesting to see if Kalen DeBoer trusts him. Maybe they call another back-to-back quarterback draw, see if they can catch Ball State, a little bit more of a umbrella-type look, keeping everybody in front of them.
Justus has hit a couple of field goals from deep today, 48 and 49. From here, though, it would be 53. On 3rd and 12 for Penix. Pocket holds over the middle. Fillier, a great grab. Absolutely outstanding with the freshman linebacker Call all over him to pick up those 6 yards to get into field goal range.
And you're probably going to see Tom Allen take this one down to the wire, let that play clock run all the way down before they make that attempt, because why not? Force it on Ball State.
So Justus today, one of the best kickers in college football, has already hit 3 today, including 2 from this vicinity. This would be yet another career long. 50-yard attempt to put Indiana up by 2 scores. Good hold. Kick is there, and he bangs yet another one. Logan Justus from 50. Put the Hoosiers up by 10. Jason Horowitz, Danny Cannell, happy to welcome you back here on CBS Sports Network to Indianapolis. And you know, so often when you start a new season, focus is on the quarterback, new defensive players, new skill players. How about the returning kicker? Logan Justus has had a massive day for Tom Allen.
Sometimes we overlook special teams so frequently, but to be able to have a weapon, not just a guy, but a guy that's a weapon with his leg, such an advantage. Been perfect on the day.
Previous career high was 44. He is hit from 48, 49, and then to put Indiana up by 2 scores with 2:15 to go, he just hit from 50. Now, this will be an interesting story moving forward for Indiana because they started today with Nathaniel Snyder as their kickoff guy, but he kicked 2 out of bounds, so they've gone to Jared Smoller, excuse me. And he bangs a second through the end zone. So now Ball State has to hurry. 2:15 to go, down 2 scores. 2 timeouts to go. Now, they've had explosive plays on the last couple of drives, but now you got to do it when Indiana knows they need it.
And anytime they've been in a situation where they've asked Drew Plitt just to straight drop back, survey the field, more of a typical passing situation, they have struggled to protect him. So that's going to be the challenge for Ball State here in this 2-minute drill. don't forget, Drew Plitt, he does have some athleticism. You're not going to mistake him for a blazer, a guy's going to make out there, but he can get outside the pocket, extend plays somewhat.
Hoosiers defense has sacked him twice today. They bring 4. Dumps it to Jones out of the backfield. He's got 10 and he's got a first down. So it'll stop the clock while they move the chains. Remember, you're going to need a field goal at some point. Plitt scrambling around, throws a short pass. He hopped it, he was off balance, looking for Justin Hall. Now inside of 2 minutes. And again, 2 timeouts for the Cardinals. To the air again, and it's dropped. Antoine Davis, but a flag thrown at the line of scrimmage. Question was, is it an illegal formation or offsides?
Number 98 lined up in the neutral zone offense. 5-yard penalty, 3rd down.
All of that was very confusing. If number 98 lined up in the neutral zone, that's on the defense. It would be 5 yards and it would still be 2nd down, which I believe is what that's supposed to be.
Defense lined up in the neutral zone, number 98. 5-yard penalty, 3rd down.
Now I still think it's 2nd down.
Yeah, that is 2nd down. They got it.
And now Tim O'Day has just said a correction, 2nd down. So we got it all settled away. 3-5 yards for Ball State. Down 10 with 1:54 to go. Plitt settles in the pocket, overshoots the receiver, and should have been picked off. Right into the hands of the starting corner, Andre Brown.
Boy, this one just sailed on Drew Plitt. Got away from him trying to hit that ball over the middle. And man, you had some missed opportunities for Indiana. Missed touchdown pass, missed game-saving interception right there.
3rd and 5, pressure off the edge. Now up the middle, and Plitt is taken down. Finished off by Jerome Johnson.
And Jerome Johnson, the big nose tackle, we featured him to start this game as one of the critical components from the defensive side of the ball, as Ball State has to take a timeout there, taking the sack. But Jerome Johnson, the big fella, in the middle of that Indiana defense, see him lined up right over the center. Excuse me, he's on the right side. Just overpowers the right tackle. That's just a straight bull rush there, and then notices, hey, the quarterback's right in my lap. I might as well grab him.
Now, one of the questions coming into the day, would Indiana's defensive front be better than a year ago? They've gotten pressure on Drew Plitt. Would Ball State's offensive line, which has been a struggle the last couple of years because of injury, hold up? And the answer to that has been, for the most part,
of the day. Yep. This is a tough ask for any offensive line when you become one-dimensional. The reason they've had success throughout the day is they've been able to run the football. They don't know what they're going to do. But when you know Ball State has to throw the football virtually every down, that becomes a really tall order for this Ball State offensive line.
So now it's 4th in the ball game. Ball State on its own 32-yard line. Needs the 46 to have any hope of coming back with 1:39 to go. Indiana brings pressure to Miller. Makes the grab, keeps the drive alive, and keeps the game alive.
Riley Miller, the DB killer, comes up with it, sure hands, extends the drive. Ball State's still alive.
Just one timeout left. And did Ball State just burn its last time out?
On the previous play was complete pass for a first down. That ruling is under further review.
All right, so now we'll take a look at it. We didn't take a look at the ball that was caught in Antoine Davis's thighs. But this one we better make sure we got right.
Well, they got up to the line of scrimmage and ran a play a little bit faster. So let's have a look at Riley Miller. Goes down to get it. The question is, did he have his hands underneath the football? Because he clearly secured it, but did it bounce? Is there anything in there that would say it was incomplete? I think his hands are clearly under that football to secure the catch.
And I'm not sure his arms moved at all.
Not at all.
Anywhere in that view.
No, he's got it.
Now remember,
ball doesn't budge one bit.
No, and remember, the ball can touch the ground if you have full control underneath, and I'm not sure that the ball touches the ground anyway.
No. That's a catch all the way.
So they continue to look at it. Bill Elgie, our replay official with this MAC crew here in Indianapolis. So Denny, as they continue to look at this, 1:27 to go, one timeout, down 10. So at some point you're going to need a field goal anyway. How are you playing this if you were Mike New?
Aggressively as you can get. You're talking about the fourth down field goal situation? Well, think about what he told us about their field goal kicker, right? Not exactly a lot of confidence.
Feel comfortable maybe early, short 40.
It all depends on where they get to, how fast they can get there.
But they're continuing to look at this.
I don't know why. I think it's been pretty clear cut, don't you? I mean, I haven't seen anything. There is no doubt in my mind that is a catch. This should have been, this to me is a catch all the way. I don't know what would be taking so long. And you want to get it right, you want to make sure, but from every single angle we've had at it, this is a catch.
Now let's get the call from Tim O'Day.
After reviewing the play, the ruling on the field of catch is confirmed. The game clock at 1 minute and 27 seconds is correct, and it will wind on the ready for play.
That's probably what they were doing, checking the play clock. That's probably why it took a little bit longer, making sure they're on the same page. Now, this is one where Ball State, every second counts. As soon as they blow that whistle, they need to be ready to snap the football.
Plitt into double coverage. It's picked off. Jalen Williams, the game-sealing interception for Indiana. Well, we talked about Drew Plitt's ability to not make the critical error, and he forced one here at the end of the game when he had to.
He did. He had to take a shot down the field. You have to have that sense when you've got to try to make something happen, give your receivers a chance. That's when you tip your cap to the defense as well. Trying to slip one up the sideline. And this is an outstanding read. Williams steps right in front of it, saw it coming, reading Plitt's eyes the whole entire way. Now Indiana, Michael Penix in his first start the 2019 season. Pretty impressive, really strong performance in the victory formation. But I think you've seen some signs of why they decided to go with him over Peyton Ramsey. Saw the big play potential, the strong arm strength, and the ability to run the football.
326 yards passing for Michael Penix. Also ran for 69 yards. If you're a Ball State fan, and Riley Neal, as they take their final timeout, goes to Vanderbilt as a grad transfer, you see why the coaching staff is comfortable with Drew Plitt leading this offense moving forward.
And you got to keep in mind your goals for the season are still there. They're still attainable. You still want to win a MAC championship. This is a tough loss. And for Tom Allen, this was a must-win game. He sat at the Big Ten Media Days and said, we are going to a bowl. This was one of those ones you absolutely had to win if you're an Indiana Hoosier fan.
And they have missed out on the bowl the last 2 years, 5-7 both seasons. Tom Allen said to us on Wednesday, he said he's tired of it. His players are tired of it. The constant conversation about the loss to Purdue at home last year to not go to a bowl game, as he said, was played out. And he was done hearing about it. Now, at least for a week until they play Eastern Illinois next week, going to hear about a win here in Indianapolis.
Absolutely. I mean, if they would have lost, it would have been devastating for them, right? Then it's a whole different story. So this is one of those ones, tough spot to be in. You're supposed to win the game, have to handle your business, and Ball State's going to put up a good fight just like they did.
Ball State on the other side is going to regroup. Play at home next week in Muncie against Fordham out of the FCS. It's been a long time since they've been to a bowl game as well, but I think you can see signs here too. The talent's there as they take a knee, and we get a late flag here before we're going to hit zeros.
There's a little extracurricular going on, just a little shoving back and forth.
After the play, unsportsmanlike conduct, defense number 42, 15-yard penalty, automatic first down. That is the first unsportsmanlike conduct foul on number 42 of the game.
It's Chris Crum, their defensive line leader. Ball State put up a fight. Very different game than this one last year when Indiana won by 4 touchdowns. Very different story. Now, there's probably some people being like, hey, why do anything? Why move the ball? Why not just end the game? You never know. Maybe there's a fumble on a snap, return for a touchdown, onside kick, field goal, go to overtime. Never know.
Joe Pisarcik, anybody? Right?
Got to make sure you get all 60 minutes off the clock. So a good opening performance. Tom Allen and his quarterback, Michael Penix Jr.
Now they won't have to with the clock running.
Now they want it, and it's over. 34-24. Final score, Indiana gets to 1-0 with a win over Ball State. Now for my partner Danny Cannell and our entire crew, I'm Jason Horowitz. A lot more college football to get to. Let's send it to John Sadak, Randy Cross, and Sheehan Stanwyck Birch in Annapolis for Navy and Holy Cross.